Yes. Oh, oh, oh. You found yourself in a dark alleyway, all alone. Probably didn't expect to see me here, did you? Well, now you have. And what will you do? Will you piss your pants? Maybe shit? Maybe come? Little baby? What will you do? Hopefully shit. Your boyfriend says hello boyfriend. What's poppin'? David De La Rosa with the first donazione of the night. Hi Joel, thank you for making my night. Thank you David for always making my night. Thank you all for making my night. And Eddie with a big $20 Reno donation right out the gate. I didn't even get to breathe as we landed on the beaches of readingtown.usa. And yet you pound my chest with a beautiful $20. Thank you so much, Eddie. Thank you. And Summer, thank you for the 3. Good to see you guys. How's everybody doing? Share your flamin' hot Cheetos. Are they good? My friend, he used to, this was his night, you know, he would get flamin' hot Cheetos and I tell a lot of stories over and over again because I'm a fucking, I'm a DILF, you know, and he would get that and the white chocolate Reese's cups, and I'd always say he would de-shell them because he would take off all of the all of the wrapping off the Reese's like first before he put them into like a bowl or bag that he would eat. And that shit, I don't know, that shit always just made me laugh, like sort of like a food prep but for like junk food. This is so funny. Good shit though. I fucking love. They were good. I don't blame them. Helped your insomnia. You're welcome. I'm glad I can be of service. Oh shit. Ooh, this kind of goes with the beat a little bit. Didn't expect to have to twerk so soon. Ellen. Oh my god, you just keep pounding it on me with this. Ellen with a $50 Reno donation says, I'm so happy you're doing a live stream. This is just what I needed. Well, thank you, Ellen. And that is what I needed. I appreciate that. Seriously. Very, very kind. Thank you so much. You get my twerk muscles warmed up for one wild night. I can feel it. I can feel it in my bones. In my bonos. Feel it in my bonos for the donos. And Dadrian. Lipscomb. That's a cool ass name. I hope that's real. But this is, we ever do a face reveal? You're awesome, by the way. Thank you, Dadrian. I don't think so. I mean, maybe like one day if like the voice acting thing works out in the grander sense, I kind of like, who knows, maybe I'll be forced to in a sort of like IMDb type thing. But ideally, you know, in an ideal world, I would love to maintain my anonymity, you know, just for my own safety. 911 Mr. Lona. Hey Joel, love hearing your voice and love hanging around. You have an amazing personality, sense of humor from Canada. Thank you. I used to love that song when that first came out from Tyler the Creator. That's why that like name jumped out to me. Tyler made a new album, right? Recently, I haven't gotten to listen to it. Definitely your favorite narrator. Hell yes. Fry's here. What's up, Fry? Bonos. Bononos. I would love you at a music festival after all the music is done. Just sit back around a fire and listen to you live. That would be really interesting. Imagine like all of it got done and they're like, all right, we're gonna let a guy read some creepy stories on stage. And everyone was like, what? What the fuck? And like they just like cut the lights, cut them, or turn, I don't know, everything that was like popping on the rave or whatever crazy energy, just like thousands of people gathered in the stadium, and all they hear is this. Lynn Ragsdale with the 2 says, been a fan since 2K17 and still love you. Thank you, Lynn. Now that is devotion. I do appreciate it. Seems like a lot of people stick around the channel, which is awesome. I always feel really bad for the Let's Play channel people who they get like 1 million subs real fast, then all of a sudden their audience turns 10, and then they moved on. They've moved on from all that baby shit onto cool shit like Let's Read. Father, your child needs ideas for some painting. You should paint the bus driver from The Simpsons. I forget his name. You should paint him sitting on a log, smoking from a bong. As long as that's not too inappropriate, obviously. Amy Atwood with a 5 says, hey Joel and Perdeep, glad to announce that I am getting away from my delivery job before having to encounter for you to read on here. Oh shit. Yo, that'd be a great... have I even done delivery stories? Like FedEx style stories? I feel like I've seen a lot of those. I'm gonna have to start digging, because that would be sick. But I'm glad you gotten away from me before things get too wild. Before that 2-day shipping turns into 2-day killing. Maple Cat 97, welcome back to the Buttersock Cult for 2 whole months. Is glad to catch another stream after such a long day at work. Thanks for always having such awesome content. You're welcome, Maple Cat. It's good to have you. Good to see you. And welcome Eddie to the Buttersock Cult. You guys, if you didn't know, anybody who's a member gets access to bonus content, which I just finished up a bunch of content for the Chilling app. So a lot of good stuff coming over there, slowly being trickled out with all sorts of talented narrators over on that platform. Very happy to be a part of it. Probably going to promote it in tomorrow's video because I forgot to on Wednesday. Because I contractually forgot to. Just kidding, but seriously, awesome stuff. And yeah, I now have time to start recording the next piece of bonus content. It's going to be a big old creepypasta. I hope you guys like it. Got the thumbnail worked out for it and everything. It should be litty. Titty. Listening to you while playing Tunic. Yeah, how is Tunic? I played like the first level and realized that it was literally a fucking Dark Souls clone. After I was trying to like get away from Dark Souls. And I know some people like that, but it was too hard. I'm just not good enough. People tell me to get good and I say, no thanks. Even though I am trying to actually play that Hearthstone Battlegrounds game. That game is actually kind of relaxing to sort of play. Do you remember 2-second horror stories? Can you continue those videos? I definitely could. I was talking about part 3 with Axeman cartoons. But you know what I mean, like, everybody's got their own thing going on, and obviously if it's not like some huge, I guess well, it's just like not my bread and butter. So like knowing that like part 2 didn't really take off the way part 1 did, and it's hard to know whether or not it will. It's just the motivation to like really invest a lot into that is uncertain at this point. But if Axeman gets motivated and we figure something out, I'm definitely on board. Cider knows where everyone lives. That's why everybody that's mod here is also a master hacker. So don't say anything bad or they will. tickle your feet at night. Bless your voice. I've definitely used your videos to fall asleep on nights when my brain just won't shut off. Thank you. Yeah, no, I think it's really, really useful to have someone talking in the background when you're trying to fall asleep. Just because, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes when I'm in like the silence of my room at night and I don't have like somebody talking to let my mind like, to shut off that part of my mind that like is going pretty fast. Like, I think I legitimately like, I may have talked about this before, but I think I legitimately hear voices. Not in like a, you know, that are telling me that I'm God or anything like that, and they're coming from the walls, but just the kind that was just like, what was that? You know, like, or just like music and stuff, you know what I mean? So listening to people at night, I totally relate with that. Yo, like the stream. Yeah, good idea, guys. Thanks for being here. Click like, click share. Swook with the 2 says, hello, lovelies. Hope everyone's night is going well. Thank you, Swook. Good to see you. What's poppin'? My homie. Pradeep is here. He has arrived. He jumped up on the chair, and now he is smashing his face into the nearest table surface to let me know that he is ready to be petted. All the voices in our heads call intuition. Yeah, I think it's smart to follow your intuition, follow your gut. Do I get all the females? Yeah, I just kidnap them. They don't have a choice in the matter. Just kidding. Goodness. That face when guy who hears voices gives advice. Okay, let me just clarify. It's not like that bad. But also you should be eating a handful of rocks every goddamn day. It's for your appendix. Also, don't do that. Your voice is so distinguished from other YouTubers. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for a nice compliment. I mean, I think there's a lot of talented narrators out there. And yeah, I think that's the cool thing about narration and the different voices you come across. It's just like, you know, you might hear one that you're just like, I'm not really feeling it. But like a lot of the times people's voices are just like so unique. It's a little bit like music, you know what I mean? You're like, people ask you who's better, this or that. But it's like, really, it's just like, who am I in the mood for at that time? You know what I mean? You might have a favorite narrator the same way you have a favorite musician and stuff. But that doesn't negate the other ones from still having like just this unique experience that you go through when you hear them. Swook with the 5 says, good to be here. Love these late night streams. They help me fall asleep. Plus, they're amazing. Thank you, Swook. Always happy to have you. And Welks, welcome back to being a mischievous dog for 26 whole months. Is glad to be able to make the stream. What's up, man? What's happening, Welks? Good to see you. People's voices are as unique as fingerprints. Good thing I singed mine off. Sheesh. Sheesh. Or different accents, yeah. Your voice is one of the few I allow myself to fall asleep to. That's awesome. I'm so wholesome. I'm so full of holes. I think I'm going on my 2nd month of discovering you. Wait, I think I am going on my 2nd month of discover. Oh, like since 2 months since you've found my channel. That's awesome. Well, let's keep it going for the long haul. Can you do ones that aren't scary? I mean, maybe during a stream I could read some unscary stories just for funsies. What is it? Roma with the 10 says, thank you so much for the 10. Says, anyone notice the like button disappears the further you go in a stream or video? I feel like I'm tripping balls. Does it really? Like the further you go, does it get smaller, or is it just like YouTube's like, all right, if you haven't clicked it by now, you're never gonna click it. Do you believe every story you read? You know, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I've always tell everybody when it comes to that sort of thing, I'm experiencing these stories. You know, I'm experiencing these stories as you're experiencing them, so we just kind of go along for the ride. Joel, can you voice a character on my Chloe series here on YouTube? Yeah, probably. But also, yeah, maybe. Because I hate like making promises to people. Let your yeses be yeses and your no's be maybes. I'm not sure. But it does sound fun. I definitely like to hear more if you want to tag me in something or hit me up. Marianne McMahon? Or McMahon? I don't know. But thank you for the 5 Aussie books. Thank you, Marianne. If you had a message, please do at me. Sometimes it doesn't let people send something or at that time for some reason, or they missed it. Face recognition technology has grown to a stage where your actual face plays very little in the factor in your profile. Wait, what do you mean? Is like they identify based on like your irises or something like that by like zooming in? Or is it like the individual details? Because I always thought that like during the COVID pandemic, like for as much as people were wearing masks, I always thought that would be like a great time to like collect a bunch of data on being able to recognize people like without, that would be wearing a mask. So your algorithms would get so good at just only recognizing like the upper portion of this sort of aspect, like the top 50% of your face. Well, really like the top third, I guess you could say. Because some people like looked at like straight up, wearing a disguise most of the time with the mask, the sunglasses, the hat. I know I'd wear that sometimes going to the grocery store. It was like incognito mode. You finished every podcast episode? Holy heck. Well, we got weekly ones every Tuesday at 12 noon EDT or EST. What's the difference between, what's EDT? Eastern Dick Time? Eastern Dongle? Please be not gross, TDY. I'm going to be honest with you, that's an impossible request. It's like the Impossible Burger. It's like asking soy to be meat. It just doesn't work like that. What would you legalize if you got the chance? Well, I just think this would help a lot, especially with like all sorts of issues pertaining to like drug cartels and, and probably human trafficking as well and those kind of things. But just like, drugs mainly, just like decriminalize drugs, like almost in all fashions, to an extent. And obviously marijuana is one of the ones that's been, people get put in for stuff when it's really silly. Obviously things are changing slowly but surely, but that's a really weird thing because I remember like the left was very, very heavy on, legalization of that sort of thing. And I guess it's happening state by state, so maybe it's not as much of an issue. But it's weird that that's not even really a talking point anymore within like the political, window of conversation. But I just think that really if you just like legalize that stuff, because I always made a joke ever since I was younger. I was like, wow, you could just make like water guns illegal and you could do a whole like skit where it's like, and I'm sure they've already done this, where people are getting shot and killed and then you open up the suitcase and it's just like a little fucking Beanie Baby or something. You know what I mean? Just like the most innocuous random thing. This beat is dope. Yeah, this is sick. I love this like funk, like trap stuff. This one's called Oldie Main Loose. It's on a 420 mix on the YouTube channel called Smooth Sounds. Take your drugs and fuck off. I mean, I don't want drugs. I'm just saying that like if you legalize them, I think there's a higher probability that you would decrease crime rates and violence, crime-related violence, and you wouldn't ruin people's life who get caught with a little bit of Mary J. And I mean, at the same time, I think anybody who doesn't want to try it or various other drugs, like, will just make up that mind themselves, you know what I mean? Your phone can see you in infrared. Perfect. I want people to collect all my data. I want the AI to know everything about me. to the point, to such an extent, I don't even know myself. I want them to see, I want the AI to see a tumor that's forming in my, like, pituitary gland, and they start just, like, randomly selling, you know, trying to advertise to me, like, stuff on Amazon that I don't even know why I'm getting advertised, but they do. What would dealers do then? Oh, well, hopefully not go to jail anymore. Gonna pound a 12-pack of beer while I listen. Oh, be careful, my friend. I think alcohol, we'll bring the prohibition back, you know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, my friends, I guess it's read time, huh? Describe my face. Well, as I've always said, I lost it in a freak exfoliation accident. So it's just been sheared off, and that's why I'm a skeleton in space. I was trying to wash a blackhead, you know, wash my pimples up in space, and that's what happened. Just too much Himalayan brown sugar scrub. Sampai, what's poppin', my dude? People can't handle they piss. Yeah, they just need to let it go. Alright. Thanks for being here again, guys. Click that like button, click that share. We're almost at 400 people, so thank you so much for being here. We're going to transition over to the spooky reading screen, brought to you by the amazing Robin Mikalsen from Norway. You're a blessing. Thank you. You guys are a blessing. Truly, 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 you guys are a blessing unto me. I can't even kid you on that one. I'm very thankful for you. All right. So anyways, as you may have seen in the title, we are reading some stories about being lost in the friggin' woods. So that should be interesting. What's a pescatarian? Let me look that up real quick. One of the stories starts out with pescatarian. Practice of eating vegetarian foods, but still including seafood in one's diet. Around 3% of humans are pescatarian. Ah, interesting. Are you anybody here pescatarian? Am I even saying that right? I'm not a pescatarian. I'm just a pest. And you staring. Okay, cool. We got it right. Yeah, I don't see Jacob tonight. Oh, there's Mr. Robin. What's up? What's crapping in, my dude? Fen with the 5 says, thanks for the many hours of great stories. Thank you, Fen. Can't believe I read that out loud. Yeah, I read a lot of silly things out loud once in a while. As long as it's not too bad, you know what I mean? I don't care. As long as you guys don't say anything mean to each other. Or, you know the rules. You know the rules. What's that one Tenacious D lyric where it's like, you broke the rules, now we'll pull out all your pubic hair, yeah. You motherfucker. Fucking love Tenacious D. I think of like all the bands, like if there ever was a band that I would not necessarily get tattooed, but definitely a graphic t-shirt would have to be Tenacious D. You ever get scared after reading so many scary stories? Not necessarily. I've gotten used to it, but I definitely think that there is a degree of like subconscious paranoia that may exist in my mind that I don't even know. Like I'll hear stuff, around my place and like think like, ah, fuck, dude. Someone's definitely living in my attic, like guaranteed. Guaranteed someone's just living up there and just they made it in without me even realizing. Jack Black's your Hollywood crush. Yeah, Jack Black is great. I love him and Kyle Gass together, and I hope they're doing well. You know what I mean? I know he was doing a YouTube channel for a while, so I'm curious. Do the true crime ones scare you? I think the true crime ones definitely do hit me a little bit different just because they sound a lot more gruesome most of the time. Do you like Iron Maiden Trooper Song? I'm not super familiar with Iron Maiden, to be honest, but I definitely have probably heard a lot of their music and just not even realized it, kind of thing. I like their artwork though. Isn't the guy from Iron Maiden like a born again Christian guy, or is that made up? Let me tell you the story of how I became a pescatarian. I had a very privileged upbringing in New England. I'm talking very privileged. That sounded like Oh, dude, I forgot. I found a website. It's on the deep web. No, I'm just kidding. I found a website that I can copy paste the text, and it's way easier to read. It's called it's text reader. Let me find it. I think it's naturalreaders.com. Yeah, so it's called naturalreaders.com, and this might actually help you guys if, I don't know, if anybody here is doing like narration or something like that, or just need some, I don't know, maybe they're giving a speech or some shit, but there's an option that says dyslexia font that you can do, and it's kind of like this sort of silly font that's just, I didn't even realize, I'm like, holy cow, this is actually kind of easier to decipher with my mind, because I was reading stories for chilling and I found this. I knew of the website previously because some stories I was going through and just listening to them as something else read to me, and then I saw the dyslexia font and then I tried it and I'm like, oh, this is a little bit easier. So I'm gonna try this, and maybe, just maybe, I won't make as many mistakes, but we'll see. What's a pescatarian? It's like a vegetarian, but they can eat seafood. You see food, you eat it. Let me tell you the story of how I became a pescatarian. I had a very privileged upbringing in New England. I'm talking very privileged. The old stereotype is that every little girl wants a pony for her birthday, and my reality was that I actually got a pony for my birthday, my 12th to be exact. He was a Cremello Welsh pony, and it was a love at first sight. Wait, is it Cremello? Cremello Anthony? It's Italian. Cremello. You guys got me blushing. Chappy getting weird. Yeah, this chat. Oh, this is definitely the transitionary to the weird side of YouTube. Sort of some in-between nether realm. I don't know how you guys feel about that. From a singer to voice actors or even podcasts or whatever, do you have a favorite voice you'd like to hear, as someone whose voice you just really like? Sorry if this doesn't really make... No, yeah, like my favorite kind of voice. I mean, there's so many good ones. I don't know. I honestly don't know right now, off the top of my head, one that just that I swoon over or just absolutely need. But at the same time, I know that there are a ton that are amazing, in the moment that you're hearing it, you're like, yes, but I just can't think of anything right now. He was a Cremello Welsh pony, and it was love at first sight. I named him Custard, and during the summer of 1997, I rode him almost every single day. I mostly rode him around the land my family owned just outside of Norwalk. Norwalk? Sorry. I went from saying how cool this website is to how the fuck do I read anything? Norwalk. 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 I mostly rode him around the land my family owned just outside of Norwalk, Connecticut, but most weekends I ride him further afield with my mom, who owned her own house and knew the best riding trails in Fairfield County. It got to become a regular thing, and as I learned more and more about Custard and how to take care of him, the more I became convinced that the rest of my life was going to involve horses and ponies in some shape or form. It became my dream job. something I thought would fulfill me and sustain me until retirement. But one day, someone took that dream away from me in an event that changed my life forever. For the longest time, Mom would always ride ahead of her prized Andalusian? I don't know much about horses. Is that a type of horse? Oh, Andalusian? Andaluvian horse? Or is that spelled right? Andalusian? One second. And okay. Let's read more like let's learn to read. Andalusian. Is that that's a horse, right? Andalusian. Okay. Hey, learn something every day. My man, Jacob, is in the house, baby, with a $5 and says, Joel, you are my friend. You are my brother. Stephanie has been upset all day today, and I hope I'm not too late. Like, not too late for the stream or not too late for Stephanie? Because that sounds a little bit concerning, depending on the context there. But good to see you, Jacob. What's crappin'?
Hey, listen.
Andalusian. Wait, Andalusian? Sorry. Or Andalusian? Is that it? Wait, we got a couple pronunciations here. Andalusian. Okay. For the longest time, Mom would always ride ahead on her prized Andalusian, saying she'd only let me lead once I should. What? Sorry. Saying she'd only let me lead once I had. Oh, I see. Once I had proper control of custard. Okay. For the longest time, Mom would always ride ahead on her prized Andalusian, saying that she'd only let me lead once I had proper control of custard. Or there came a point when I asked for her, like the 1000th time, and she finally looked back at me and nodded with a smile. I was so excited. All I ever wanted was to feel free like that, cantering with custard through the woods, feeling like we could ride all the way down to Mexico, just like the cowboys in the movies my dad loved. Half the reason I called my pony Custard was because it was what I used to call General Custard when I was only half out of my... Half the reason I called my pony Custard was because it was what I used to call General Custer when I was only half out of my baby talk years. And although we always rode in the prim and proper hard hats and Jesus Christ, there's so many fucking horse terms. Jacob with the 2 says, I hope I'm not too late for the stream. Oh, okay, good. Nope, you're right on time. Jod Purrs. What? Jodhpurs. What the fuck is a jodhpur? Oh, it's like horse pants. Attributive form of jodhpur. Oh. Okay. Cool horse girl pants. Horses are talkative and can see the future. Good to know. Can they actually, though? Some people be fantasizing about Joel doing push-ups. Just hundreds of push-ups. Push-up montage, that's what we need. John Malkovich, I could not for the life of me remember his name for some reason, but yeah, I love his voice. Oh yeah, John's got a good voice. Can I say it's high noon? Okay, let me see. It's high noon. That was terrible. It's high noon. Nah, that's terrible. It's high... I don't like it. Whatever. And although we always rode in the prim and proper hard hats and jodhpurs my mom always wore, in my head, I was always in a plaid shirt and jeans minus the spurs, but always topped off with a well-worn Stetson. I guess I rode a little too far ahead at some point because when I slowed down and brought Custard to a stop, I looked around and didn't see Mom behind me. I know I should have just turned back to meet her, but it felt so good just being alone out there in the woods, just me and Custard alone in the wild frontier. So instead of turning around and cantering back to meet her, I just kept Custard trotting along the trail nice and slow, soaking up how quiet and still everything was on that unseasonably balmy fall afternoon. I guess that should have been my first warning, that there was no bird songs, no sounds, but those of Custard's... God damn it. I guess I should have been... I guess that should have been my first warning. There was no bird songs, no sounds, but those of Custard's hooves padding through the soft dirt below us. Then, just as I was about to call out for my mom, my whole world ended in the space of maybe only half a second. For long stretches of our rides, I'd only looked down at the back of Custard's neck, and at the top of his head, just completely and utter... Sorry, this sentence just confused the shit out of me. For long stretches of ride, I'd look down at the back of Custard's neck, and at the top of his head, just completely... Okay, yeah, sorry. Anytime there's like 16 commas in it, I'm like, wait, how are they trying to structure this? For long stretches of our rides, I'd look down at the back of Custard's neck and at the top of his head, just completely and utterly smitten with him. I loved his ears and the way they'd twitch and tense as he listened to different distant sounds, how his blonde mane glowed golden whenever sunlight hit it. I was doing exactly that just as I was about to call out for Mom, so my eyes were right where they shouldn't have been when his just... What? I was doing exactly that just as I was about to call out for Mom, so my eyes were right where they shouldn't have been when his just disintegrated before my eyes. The loud bang in the near distance barely even registered as he fell over to one side and hit the dirt hard, mainly because he'd trapped my left leg under him and the pain that shot through it was like nothing I'd ever felt before. Then, because I was trapped, I was held in place and basically forced to witness what remained of my poor Custard's head. And that was the only mercy, really, knowing he hadn't suffered at all when the bullet that killed him passed through his skull. But my God, the mess it made, seeing all that raw flesh and brain matter. Jesus, fuck, this took a fucking dark turn. Oh my God, the horse got fucking shotted. Oh my God, that's so fucking weird, dude. I did not expect this to go this way. Miss Molly, welcome back for 29 months. And the Buttersauce called. Says, Joel, my love, I would give you muns, but I'm low on funds, but I hope you are doing well. I love you. Thank you, Miss Molly. Good to see you. Good to see you. Fuck, dude. Fucking horse, man. Yeah, 0 to 100 real fucking fast. Shit. And then they're, yeah, like fucking describing it too. Oh my God, yeah. I don't even know. I did not expect this at all. I thought it was going to be like some weirdo was out there with them or something, or like maybe somebody put a piece of string across the trees to like cut somebody or some shit like that, but I did not expect this horse to be shot. But my God, the mess it made. Seeing all that raw flesh and brain matter spread across the trail, it literally scared me for my life. The hunters made it over to me before Mom caught up, obviously terrified by the sounds of my screams. We later found out that they'd gotten lost in the woods and had lost track of where their hunting grounds ended and where the horse trails began. I don't know what their problem was, if they were just dumb or in some way malicious, but they claimed they thought Custard was a deer or something, that their hide made it hard to tell, but they just took the shot anyway. Mom made sure that they faced the full force of the law for what they did. Mom made sure that they faced the full force of the law for what they did, had them arrested, sued them for damages, the whole 9 yards. She remained convinced that it was no accident until the day she died, and honestly, why the fuck is my voice already fucking squeaking? Wow, I went to gargle and I almost choked to death. Well, it's a pony, so I guess it would maybe look like a deer, like, you know what I mean? Because it's not a horse. But Jesus Christ, what the fuck? It just sucks. She remained convinced that it was no accident until the day she died, and honestly, I'm inclined to believe her. And I'm glad that they had their various licenses revoked for life. People like that don't deserve Second Amendment rights. Either they're too dumb or too evil to be allowed to own guns. It just sucks that they didn't receive any prison sentences or anything. They took a life. They deserve to be locked up, in my opinion. But the laws in this country basically turn animals into property, and killing one that belongs to a person is basically no different than breaking one of their car windows. I had to go through a lot of therapy just to be able to go outside again following Custard's death, and I still find it extremely triggering to see horses anywhere, hence why I was never able to follow up on my dream of working with them or ponies. I also found myself extremely adverse to almost all kinds of meat afterwards, as it just reminded me of all of that. I'm okay with almost all kinds of seafood except for tuna steak, as things like shrimp or crab are so far removed from mammalian flesh that I'm actually able to stomach the sight of them. I still think about Custard far more than I should, considering he died 25 years ago now, and I also think of how those hunters got away with their lost in the woods excuse when I think in reality they knew exactly where they were. Jacob with a 5 says, Joe, I've been so scared to ask you this, but if I can be moderator for your channel, that would be an honor for me. Well, I appreciate you asking, Jacob. Yeah, I mean, I think we're good on moderators right now. It's not like a super common, thing to do. And a lot of moderators have been around for quite some time, but I do appreciate you asking, and thank you so much for the 5. And we just, brought Mr. Hawk up to the mod team here. So thank you again, though. And Jensen, oh my god, 2 whole years he has been a big cummy poop. Oh shit. What's popping, Daddy Jenny? Jenny San? Back when I was in university, I joined the Walking and Hiking Society, and in stark contrast to the rather boring name, they oversaw some of the most exciting trips abroad the uni. Trips abroad the uni, okay. They oversaw some of the most exciting trips abroad the uni had had. Such a fuck. They oversaw some of the most exciting trips abroad the uni had to offer. Every year, they'd organize trips to some of the best hiking spots in the world, and during my second year, the destination happened... Let's see. Carpathian? I assume it's Carpathian. It says Carpathian Mountains. Anybody ever been to the Carpathian Mountains? Wait, shit. Carpathian. Carpathian? Carpathian? Carpathian. Been listening for years, Remorse, heck yeah. What's the best dessert to give a friend? I remember I made a dessert with it was like a bunch of different types of grapes, and then there was cream cheese and sour cream, but it was like brown sugar and like a bunch of, or no, it was like something totally different, but it had a shit ton of almonds on the top. And my friend literally developed, after he had that, he like had such a fucking bad reaction to it because he didn't know that he was allergic to almonds, that he was like throwing up, and he like his throat swelled up. It was fucking terrible, and I felt semi-responsible even though I didn't know. And you know, but ever since then, like anytime he's ever had anything with a little bit of almonds, it's just fucks him up really bad with allergies. And I feel bad because I essentially like pushed him over the edge of allergy having. Sucks, because that was a good dessert. Jacob with the 5 says, well, Joel, maybe I can be a moderator one day, but I'm in a good place because I'm a member of your Buttersock Cult Council. This is true. See, I don't think any of the moderators here are part of the council. But you, I believe you hold second rank, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, we still have to have an election. Who knows? Steve. What's up, Steve? Bonk? Long time no see. Welcome back for 17 months in the Buttersock Cult. Welcome, welcome back. Bro, my voice is soothing. Thank you. Do I want to try your poisoned desserts? I don't know. Maybe I put something in there, but to kill him, you know? But that's not provable, so shut up. I'm just kidding. Council election is next Tuesday? Okay, guys. Get your nominations in. I would hope that I would be nominated, but I don't know. But I know Jacob has been nominated, or he nominated himself. I forget. And who gets to be council president? The Buttersock Cult Council election will be held constitutionally next Tuesday, whenever I start a stream. Every year, they'd organize trips to some of the best hiking spots in the world, and during my second year, the destination happened to be the Carpathian Mountains. For those that don't know, the Carpathians run through several different Central European countries, but the vast majority of them are in Romania. Romania, sorry. For those that don't know, the Carpathians run through... Is it Carpathians? Because that's the way the British guy said it. Carpathian. Carpathian. Pathe. It's like a soft pathe.
Hey, listen.
Cam Ma with the $10 Reno says, weirdest thing just happened to me tonight. I just got home expecting to see my parents and their new friends. The man used to be a rock star, knows music, so he fixed my guitar. The lady, she's a millionaire. Huh. That sounds pretty cool. A rock star and a millionaire. How'd she get to be a millionaire? I mean, you don't have to say that, obviously, but... And how did he get to be a rock star? Who are these, this mysterious couple? Your story isn't complete. Okay. But thank you for the 10. For those that don't know, the Carpathians run through several different Central European countries, but the vast majority of them are in Romania. The Carpathians are home to some of the wildest forests in all of Europe and are also home to some rather frightening wildlife. There are brown bears, wolves, lynxes, all things you definitely wouldn't want to bump into while taking that early morning bathroom break. But it wasn't the wildlife that made our Carpathians trip so creepy. It was a group of people we ran into after getting ourselves lost in the Rodna Mountains National Park. Rodna? So many words. Rodna? Rodna. Okay. I said Rodna. But it wasn't the wildlife that made our Carpathians trip so creepy. It was a group of people we ran into after getting ourselves lost in the Rodna Mountains National Park. So, you're never really lost in the woods, not if you're a good enough navigator. If you have a map and a compass, some food and some water, you can always just push on until you figure out where you are based on land. You can always just push on until you figure out where you are based on landmarks and whatnot. That's why when the leader of our hiking group, a younger professor we called George, said we might have taken a wrong turn down one of the trails, we weren't panicking or anything like that. In fact, it actually felt quite exciting thinking that we were venturing into the unknown. After all, you never improve your skills unless they're actually tested, and there's never any real growth without true discomfort. We knew we had to cross one particular mountain, and the key to do it was finding this one particular mountain pass, and as you can imagine, that's easy enough to do. All you have to do is find the spot where the mountains dip low enough, and Bob's your uncle. There's your way through. So it was simply a case of finding an elevated position, finding where the range dipped, then just orienting ourselves towards it. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, I thought. Then off we marched in the direction of the pass. There was just one little problem, and that was the issue of sustenance. Because we'd all focused on having ultra-light. Into the unknown, no. Yo, Joel, been a fan for a while, and I was just wondering what your favorite Starbucks drink is. If you go to Starbucks, I work as a barista, and I'm curious. I don't go to Starbucks too often. To be honest, really haven't been there in a long time. I did go there when I was kind of sick with Kavad. I got one of your guys' immune booster drinks. They're really good. Really, really good. But, I would go to Dunkin' Donuts a lot just because it was easy drive-through. Never too wild. What would I get there? I would get a macchiato. But then after that I started getting a latte. And man, those lattes were pretty yummy. I'll tell you what. Can you do a Bullwinkle impression? I don't know. I don't remember what Bullwinkle sounds like. That'd be funny if just my normal speaking voice sounded exactly like him. Bullwinkle. That's what I'm remembering, some sort of deep voice. Hey, Bullwinkle, or something like that. Because we all focused on having an ultralight kit, we'd taken minimal food and water with us and planned to stop off at various little villages along the route in order to take on supplies. And given that we'd missed one of our village stops due to getting ourselves a bit lost, we ended up running out of our substantial food supplies. This wasn't a huge problem as we still had a few cereal bars and glucose gel packs to keep us going, and finding fresh water from mountain streams was surprisingly easy. But on the day before we planned to navigate the pass, we were all starting to feel pretty hangry as a result of the shortage. So, at one point, we all decided to take a break while George and another member of the group decided to scout the area to see if they could find any sources of food, wild or otherwise. About 2 hours after they departed, they returned with some good news. They'd spotted what looked like a small village up in the mountains, one that wasn't on our maps but was definitely populated since there was smoke coming from various chimneys and whatnot. The plan was to show up, be very polite, and offer them some cash in exchange for whatever food they could give us. We didn't give a monkey's butt if we had to pay over the odds for it. We were that hungry that we'd have paid triple the going rate for a decent hot meal. Oh. Jacob with the 10. Deleted by Hannah. Sorry, I shouldn't have said. Shouldn't have read that. Yeah, I don't even know what it said. But thank you, Jacob, for the 10. Sandra with the 5 says, venti strawberry, acai, no lemonade, add peach juice, and 3 pumps of raspberry. Screenshot and thank me later. It's super sweet, just so you know. That does sound good. Sounds very yummy. Is that usual? Don't usually watch these live? I don't know. The plan was to show up, be very polite. Oh, yeah. Just need a hot meal. We didn't give a monkey's butt if we had to pay over the odds for it. We were that hungry, and we would have paid triple the going rate for a decent hot meal. So, that was all it took to get us on the move again, and with the promise of full stomachs, we found ourselves with renewed energy to walk a few miles up to the mountain village. It was definitely a bit nerve-wracking. I mean, what if they weren't friendly, or just straight up refused to sell us anything despite us offering them a fistful of cash? If we took the gamble and it didn't pay off, we'd have a terrible time crossing the mountain pass. A person can go a long time without food, and we had enough water to last us, but we'd definitely be in a bad way once we got to the next village after the pass. Passing out from hunger is bad enough at the best of times, but pass out and tumble down the mountainside, and that could be the end of you. So, you can imagine how elated and grateful we were when we reached the village, and they were actually quite welcoming to us. I say quite. I say quite because as much as the bloke we offered money seemed over the moon to have us trudge into his village, some of the other villagers seemed less than impressed at our presence. I really don't mean this to sound too mean or ungrateful because they literally saved our butts out there, but a lot of them just didn't look right, if that makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bit of inbreeding. My voice cracks at inbreeding. Perfect. Inbreeding. Adult Swim. I wouldn't have been surprised if there was a bit of inbreeding going on, to put it that way, and some of them had this faraway, glassy look in their eyes, like there wasn't too much going on between their ears, if you get my drift. So, as much as we were happy to be eating some proper food for the first time in like 24 hours, we were quite keen on getting out of there too. We were offered goat milk and goat meat, a few baked potatoes, pretty basic food like that, and my God, did it taste amazing, even with what little seasoning they used. After that, we spent about an hour just relaxing and digesting with full-on food babies until we realized, in a bit of a panic, that sunset was fast approaching. But then, when it came to asking the village head man to help us find the mountain pass, he casually refused, then kept making hand gestures that we interpreted as tomorrow or in the morning. A quick show of hands showed that almost no one was focused on bedding down in the village overnight, and given that some of the other girls complained that some of the village boys had been giving them some rather unsavory looks, they'd rather take their chances camped out in the mountainside than stay in the village overnight. And given how we could literally hear wolves howling on the preceding nights, that was really saying something. So, that's how we ended up packing up our gear, thanking the village head guy after giving him a big chunk of change, and heading off into the twilight to find somewhere to camp. Once we'd walked a fair distance away from the village, we all started setting up our little tents and whatnot, got a few fires going, and after warming ourselves and laughing about the close call we had, we all tried to get some sleep before the busy day ahead of us. We really did need to get all the sleep we could get, as traversing the mountain pass was going to be a heck of a lot of work, even with the food in our bellies. It turns out, no one would get any decent sleep, on account of the visitor we received in the middle of the night. I remember being shaken awake by the girl I was sharing a tent with, who told me in this really shaky, scared voice to put my boots on. The next thing I know, I can hear George, the professor leading our group, calling out to someone. He was saying things like, "Do you speak English? Are you from the village? We're leaving in the morning and we don't want any trouble." Whoever he was talking to wasn't saying anything back, and It was around then that I put my boots on and stuck my head outside of the tent to see if I could get a look at the person. Only it wasn't just one person. It was about 4 or 5 different people, stood on a rise above our campsite, shining flashlights down onto us. At least, I think it was only that many, because that's how many torches that they were shining down on us. There could have been a lot more that we couldn't see. We didn't know who they were or what their intentions were. We had no money if... Wait, no money, what the heck? What if you pooped your pants and couldn't change your undies? Yeah, I guess you'd have to just sit in your own shit. Unlucky. We had no idea if they were from the village or not, if they intended to rob us and take the rest of our money, or something even worse. Like I said, there were a few of the village boys who seemed to have taken an unhealthy liking to some of the girls in our group, and my own personal worst fear was just that they'd found our camp and were intent on dragging 1 or 2 of us away for you-know-what. Thankfully, one of few... Was it? Oh, I see. Oh my god, what the fuck? Sorry. Yeah, guys, if you do send... try to keep your messages... I don't even know anymore. Anyway, I'm just going to keep reading. Thankfully, a few of the guys came out of their tents to see what was going on. Their torches switched off and we heard the sound of boots on rocks, then silence, meaning whoever it was had retreated. And we all breathed this collective sigh of relief, but like I said, sleep didn't come easy after that, and that's if you were able to get any sleep at all. At first light, we packed up our things and headed off in the direction of the mountain pass. It was seriously tough on next to no sleep, but thankfully the food in our bellies and the fear in our chests motivated us sufficiently to make it all the way to the other side by the early afternoon. We were all elated by the time we made it across and down onto the lush green fields on the other side. It was like a little slice of paradise right before our eyes. And the best thing, we could clearly see quite a large village just a mile or 2 away, one that would certainly have access to food and, more importantly, alcohol. I personally needed a strong one after the day that we'd had, and luckily, there was a small bar in the village square that was only too happy to provide us with these big bottles of plum brandy they called palinka. And the owner of the bar was quite proficient in English too, which certainly made our lives easier, and he ended up asking us about our trip. Obviously, one of the first things we told him about was our run-in at the mountain village, how it had started out as a rather nervy encounter that turned into a seriously creepy midnight confrontation. When we told him, he gave us this rather bemused look, before telling us that we must have been confused. According to him, there were no villages around the mountain pass, and that they'd all been demolished during the communist era, with the occupants being moved onto collective farms. We all sort of gave each other these funny looks as if to say, Jacob with the 5 says, sorry Joel, my mind wandered. You're good, my friend. Yeah, just anything, that might be sort of traumatic, for other people to read and stuff like that. Just don't do that. Don't type that. But thank you for the 5. Cam with the 2 says, the rock star and the Miss Millionaire left long ago. Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about that story though. What's the sitch? They just showed up and all that crazy stuff.
Hey, listen.
We all sort of gave each other these funny looks as if to say, well, that can't be right, before informing him that he was mistaken. If the government had deported all those mountain people, it looked like they'd moved right back up there as soon as the Iron Curtain fell, so to speak. The conversation then moved on to us asking why the government had done something so cruel as to deport entire villages away from their homes, and shockingly, the bar owner seemed to have very little sympathy for them. He launched off into some speech about it being the best thing for them, how they were all illiterate and they needed to be dragged kicking and screaming into the modern world. We thought this was a bit harsh, honestly. I mean, everyone is entitled to live the way they want to. At least, that's the way I see it. But he disagreed. He said if we knew the truth about what they did up there, we wouldn't be so sympathetic. Then, without a hint of jest or hyperbole to his words, he tells us that they're cannibals, and that they eat the weakest of their own number in order to conserve resources. Not only that, but they steal the breast milk of their pregnant women to distribute among the men of the village. That's when one of us piped up that one of the first things they'd shared with us was meat and milk. Of course, they'd claimed it was goat milk, but none of us had ever drank it before, so how would we know the difference? The man looked absolutely horrified when we told him this, then promptly walked away from our table before disappearing behind the bar. Our group looked equally horrified, at least until a few of the older members spoke up that the bloke was either seriously misinformed, horrifically bigoted, or was just playing some elaborate joke on us that he could share with his regulars for a good old laugh. This one guy named Adrian was saying absolutely no chance there was a bit backwards. This one guy named Adrian was saying something like there was absolutely no chance, that they were a bit backwards, but cannibals, no bloody chance. And I'm very much inclined to agree with him on that. We were in Romania, not bloody poppy, no. We were in Romania, not some random isolated island, and given the grinding poverty they were suffering, it was almost an impossibility that they'd share anything as precious as milk with us, even if they were bloody paying. After all, there were tons of goats trotting around the village, plenty of females with a Jesus Christ. Oh, I see. I was like, what? After all, there were tons of goats trotting around the village, plenty of females with swollen udders too, so I can almost categorically say that we didn't engage in cannibalism, nor did we drink any of the women's milk, so to speak. The only thing that really still scares me to this day is the gang of mysterious people who we encountered, the ones who shone torches down on us from the ridgeline above. No one with any innocent intentions just rolls up on a camp of sleeping people like that. They didn't say a word to us, not a hello or bunziwa or bunaziwa. 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 What the fuck? That's the Romanian. Anybody from Romania? Jacob with the 5 says, Joy, I think I need to do 30 push-ups to get my mind off of that. That's a good idea, Jacob, but we're very close to finishing this story, so I will join you in those very soon if anybody else wants to join as well. Mike Tyson punched a guy on a plane? Oh my god. No one with any innocent intentions just rolls up on a camp of sleeping people like that. They didn't say a word to us, didn't greet us in Romanian, and you think they'd at least say something to us to ensure their good intentions, even if it was in a language we couldn't understand. After all, it's all in the tone of voice and not so much exactly what you're saying. It makes me wonder what would have happened if there hadn't been so many of us, if it had been just all girls, or the lads hadn't come out of their tents for an unintentional show of force. Sometimes I don't think they were just curious about us. Sometimes I think something very... Sometimes I think that they were... Fuck. Sorry. Sometimes I don't think they were just curious about us. Sometimes I think that they had something very, very bad in mind for us, and we're all extremely lucky that they didn't go ahead with whatever they were planning. I don't think it was the nicer guy who fed us either. What? I don't think it was the nicer guy who fed us either. I don't think it had anything to do with him. I think it was the younger ladies who've been hogging the girls in the group. I think that there's... I don't think it was the nicer guy who fed us either. I don't think it had anything to do with him. I think it was the younger lads who had been ogling the girls in our group, and I think it was the younger lads who had been ogling the girls in our group, and I think they'd have been monsters given half the chance. All in all, it was a wonderful trip, just one that was slightly marred by rather unpleasant nocturnal. All in all, it was a wonderful trip, just one that was slightly marred by a rather unpleasant nocturnal encounter. The people we met in Romania... Why do I keep saying Romania? The people we met in Romania were, for the most part, some of the kindest, most welcoming people one could ever wish to meet. But there were a small few, and I say this in no uncertain terms, that might have done things to us that meant we never made it home, alive. What up, Gabby? What's crappening? I said cannibal. That's how you say it, right? I do believe. Okay. Oh. 30 till midnight. You need to go to sleep. Use the stream to go to sleep. Good night. Peace out. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite, please. Also, I got a candle that doesn't crackle as it burns, so that's kind of nice. Playing with your snails, that's awesome. What do snails eat? Do they just eat like vegetables and stuff? Yesterday I watched Lazy Masquerade's video with you featured in it. Oh nice, that's awesome, yeah. I was very thankful for him to include me on that. Always appreciate him. 4 hours? What about 4 hours? Some people in this chat be wanting bed bugs to bite. Yeah, they be crazy. Does the candle have a smell? Let me check. The smell is called Awaken. So I don't know where they harvested that. Maybe every time people wake up, they just collect the sleep under their eyes, the eye boogers, and collect it into a candle form, and then that's kind of like what I get to sniff. I have a skin infection right now. You should do a scary story on how bad it hurts. Skin infection? Or is it like necrotic? Are you dying? Yeah, the armpit scented candle. Yeah, they're the Harry Potter ones made of boogers. It's a deep candle title. Yeah, I know. They're very unique. Awaken. You can use it at a massage parlor. Do you have HBO Max? If so, check out the Batman. Oh, the new one? Why did I say that so? The new one? No, I don't have HBO Max though. Though it would be sweet. I'm from a place called Plymouth in southwest England, and for the longest time now, I've gone on long runs over the weekends to keep up with my fitness. Last June, I decided to go for a long one along the cliffs and through the forests of Bulberry Down and Overbeck's Gardens. I'd never been before, and I've heard it's a really beautiful place, with the sea air really invigorating you as you run. But just as I was getting closer and closer to the 10th kilometer mark, the old brain fog started to descend. I got myself a bit lost and ended up missing the turn I needed to go back on myself so I could get back to my car. The next thing I know, I'm seeing signs for a little town called Salcombe. Salcombe, okay. Is it a Woodwick candle? It is not, thankfully. I like accidentally bought 2 Woodwick candles in a row the one time, like thinking like, oh, this would be good, and then it was wicking, and then another one I bought thinking like, oh, this will be good, and then it was a wicking one, like a fire crackling one. And the only reason I don't like them is because, you know, while you're trying to record, you want to have a nice little scent in the background or whatever, but you don't want to be having a bunch of background noise. Your puppy's breath smells like straight up poop, so maybe not. Yeah, no kisses for a bit. Wonder if there's things you can give your dog to, like, get rid of the poop smell from their mouth. Almost like a doggy mouthwash. I don't even know. Yuck. Salcombe. Okay. The next thing I know, I'm seeing signs for a little town called Salcombe, but since it was coming up to about 4:30 and it was still bloody rusty, But since it was coming up to about 4:30 and it was still bloody roasting out, I thought I'd just head into the village, maybe grab some water, then ask directions back towards a place called Marlborough. Penis. Marlborough. 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 Jesus Christ. This is like a... Holy fuck. It's like a paragraph sentence. I thought I'd just head into the village, maybe grab some water, then ask directions back towards a place called Marlborough, so I could run back towards the place I'd parked my car. Anyways, as I'm running down this hill into Salcombe, I suddenly find myself really needing a wee. Just one of the problems you face when on one of those long runs. The water you drink just comes right out the other end in like half an hour. But luckily, there was this wooded area where I thought I could just hop off the road to drain the main vein behind a tree. So as I said, I took a quick look around to make sure no one was watching, then I ran up this little grass verge and into the woods. I'm still thoroughly lost at this point, having never been anywhere near Salcombe before, but I thought I'd be relatively easy just to ask for directions and be on my way within the hour. Little did I know, I wouldn't be running back towards Marlborough or my car. I'd be headed back to it in a police car after stumbling across something truly horrifying after taking a whiz. So I take my leak. Then as I'm walking back towards the open road, I see something lying in the dirt, wrapped in bin bags. As weird as it sounds, my first thought was that I'd stumbled across the dumping ground of some local serial killer, but it was just a bit of melodrama in my head talking, just a dark joke that I thought would remain exactly that. Besides, it wasn't shaped like a body. It was more just like a jump cover and a bin liner, more likely to be someone's fly tipping than... What? Fly tipping? What's fly tipping? is that something to do with garbage? Besides, it wasn't shaped like a body, it was more just like a jump cover in a bin liner, more likely to be someone's fly tipping than anything else. Let me look up this nonsensical bullshit. The British always like to be inventing new snacks. Pretzels on fucking fire. Oh, illegal dumping. Okay, so just like littering. Dump waste illegally. Interesting.
Mischievous dog.
Pretzels on fucking fire. Lloyd Adkins, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, Lloyd. We all come here to get away from the horrible bullshit we deal with our daily lives. Laughter and happiness bubbles. Yes. Besides, it wasn't shaped like a body. It was more just like a jump covered in a bin liner, more likely to be someone's fly tipping than anything else. But then as I got closer to pass it on my way out of the woods, the smell hit me. I'd never smelled death like that before, but I knew what it was. If you've ever left some chicken in the fridge a bit too long, and there's that gag-inducing ammonia smell, it was just like that. That's what I was hoping it was anyway, as I walked over and nudged the opening of the bin liner wider with my running shoe, just someone's rubbish they decided to dump somewhere after missing bin collection day or something like that. The first thing I saw was like a cut of meat, like perfectly sliced too, but then I saw what was obviously the stump of a person's neck of top of the... The stump of a person's neck... Oh, I see. The first thing I saw was like a cut of meat, like perfectly sliced too. But then I saw what was obviously the stump of a person's neck on top of their shoulders. They'd been decapitated. I started to gag, and I ran back onto the road, puked up the water I'd finished off on the way into Solcombe, then immediately called the police. Given that I was the person who found the body, the police told me to wait where I was so I could answer a few questions, and it was honestly even scarier when I realized they thought it was me that might have dumped it there. It was easy enough to clear myself of suspicion, though, once I told them my story, and when all was said and done and the forensics team had showed up and put tape around the woods, the officer was nice enough to give me a lift back to my car, which was parked all the way back near Hope Cove. I was actually a bit worried that I'd get a fine for publication. I was actually a bit worried that I'd get a fine for public urination or something, but the police weren't in the least bit interested in such a petty crime when they had an actual murder on their hands. They also ended up getting back in touch with me a few days later, asking if I'd seen any suspicious activity in the area on the day of my run. Anyone hanging around near the little bit of woodland, anything leaving in a hurry after I showed up, but obviously, I already told them that the place was empty when I jogged to relieve myself, so I just reiterated that old point, and that was the last I heard from them. I later found out that the victim was this poor old Malaysian lady. I think she was in her 60s when she was killed. I haven't heard about any killer being arrested, so it must have still been an ongoing thing over here. It took me quite a while to get over this whole thing. Like, I still get a bit nervous about being near clusters of woodland, wondering what other poor sods have been found in such sorry states over the years. Just dumped somewhere, wrapped in bin bags like somebody's unwanted rubbish or something. And it's horrible to think about, really. I hope if you read this out on your channel, someone in the UK might be able to look this up and realize that they know something about the victim or her final days. Whoever did those things to her deserves to be in prison for a long, long time, and the fact that they're still just walking the streets is enough to turn my stomach. Does Joel like Stumpy? Who's Stumpy? Do I not pre-read these stories? No, I kind of read them, dry read them as I go. And I have to like start and stop because I'm recording into a recording device. So I have to get it right so I can edit it later. Okay. So I think the remainder stories here seem to be true crime related. You achieved your goal. Your new personal best is 7:57, and I'll try and improve tomorrow. Heck yeah. Oh, that reminds me. I guess it is push-up time, isn't it? Huh? Is anybody here going to join me in doing one more repetition? Let's get it. How many are we on? Anybody know how many push-ups we're on? Yeah, you guys can't argue. And if anybody in here is married, just hypothetically, if anybody in here is married, you can't argue in the chat. You have to argue IRL. You actually have to go look at each other. Those are the rules. The big 30. Oh shit. Some people in the chat be pretending to do push-ups. Yo, same here. No, I'm just kidding. I do them. But 30 might be my cap, so we'll see. But I'm feeling good. Yeah, fuck it. Let's just do it. 30 shups, as they call them in the biz. Oh, fuck. I'm already dead. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Holy shit, that wasn't too bad. Holy shit. They actually went by, yeah, slow twerking. Yeah, just like every time I count, it's just another twerk. 1, 2. Just clapping cheeks. There's push-ups going on. Yeah, you missed it. It was fucking sweet. Very tricep intensive. Oh, man. All right. Bro, no way you did 30 that quick. Believe it or not. But let me just say, I've been doing... What number did I start at for streams? Didn't we start at like 15 or 18 or 20 or... I don't know. But we started at 16. Interesting. So like it's been 14 streams, which how many weeks is that? That's a decent amount of time. So it's like been a slow progression of getting decently better. Joel, more like swole. 40 to 45 push-ups is your cap. Now, I was kind of half expecting that to be like my cap, to be honest with you, because I don't recall being very decent at them. And previously on Lost, I think I did like 28, and that was fucking tough. And the one day I did like chest day that day, and fucking had to do it here, and I like started cramping up. You only did 20 squats. No worries, Sandra. That is okay. I'm glad you guys are just participating. Okay, big gains. Yeah, big gains, bros. Let's go. Okay. I think I got my breath back. Okay, so I read... Wait, okay. Headless guy, person... Oh my god. Huh. On April 5th of 2017, 22-year-old Californian cyclist Jacob Gray set off from Washington State's Port Townsend, shit. Washington State's Port Townsend. Sorry, make sure I'm doing this right. Townsend. Okay, sorry. Is it a full moon? I don't think so. On April 5th of 2017, 22-year-old Californian cyclist Jacob Gray set off from Washington State's Port Townsend, intent on cycling through the Olympic National Park. The bike he was riding was a specialized hardcock bike. Hard rock. As far as biking goes, is it a hard rock, or just hard rock? I assume hard rock. Moon is still raging. Let's go. I'm not reading this live, bro. What are you gonna do whenever the pre-read comments pertain to you? The bike he was riding was a specialized hard rock that some believe was slightly too small for Jacob, who was just an inch below 6 foot. Yet the bike he had sentimental... Yet the bike had sentimental value, as it was a promotional model that his father had won as a contractor's show rep. Dude, I can't read. I suck at this shit. It is pre-recorded. If it was pre-recorded, why would I make It's not pre-recorded. I'm fucking reading live. Yet the bike had sentimental value, as it was a promotional model that his father had won at a contractor's show raffle. Attached to the rear of the bike was a used red and yellow child trailer, one that Jacob had loaded with the camping gear before setting off into the wilderness. Jacob was later sighted in Indian Valley and along Crescent Lake on April 5th, while on the morning of April 6th, a woman... What? Is that a period or Jacob was later sighted in Indian Valley and along Crescent Lake on April 5th, while on the morning of April 6th... I see, it's like two events going on at once. I don't get your sarcasm. It's hard to get sarcasm over thing. But the only reason I didn't was because somebody else said it was pre-recorded, so then I got triggered. Thank you, Rabbit. Your mom is pre-recorded. She is. Your life is pre-recorded. Oh, there's so many fucking locations on Earth with weird, stupid names. Soldick Road. Jacob was later sighted in Indian Valley and along Crescent Lake on April 5th, while on the morning of April 6th, a woman drove past him as he rode down the Solduck Hot Springs Road. Then, later that afternoon, she noticed his distinctive red and yellow trailer on the side of the road. It wasn't a good place to camp or stash a bike for long, as it was highly visible among the foliage. Jacob was nowhere to be seen, but little did the woman know, Jacob would never be seen again. A few hours later, his abandoned gear was found by park rangers, who noted something odd about the setup. A bow was lying on the ground next to the abandoned bike and trailer, and not only were arrows jammed into the dirt near the bike itself, but arrows seemed to have struck the red and yellow trailer which held Jacob's possessions. The ranger in question, a man named John Bowie, then proceeded to search the immediate area, believing the bike's owners may have stopped at a nearby spring to collect water. But again, Jacob was nowhere to be seen. Bowie then contacted a fellow park ranger and asked him to recheck the area of the following. What is it? Sandra with the 2 says, can you pronounce Oaxaca without looking it up? Is that how you say it? Oaxaca? Or is it Oaxaca? Because of like how Xena is, Xena the warrior princess is spelled with like an X. I'm now looking it up since I've made my guesses. Oh, Oaxaca. Oh, it's Spanish. Okay. Wait, is it Spanish or is that Spanish? Ah. Oaxaca. Interesting. Isn't that like Oaxaca? Interesting. Is that like pulled from like an even like older language than Spanish? You know what I mean? Like almost like, I'm not even sure what that language would be, like the old Aztec languages type stuff like that. Oh, it's just a place in, interesting. Oaxaca. Waka Waka. Bowie then contacted a fellow park ranger and asked him to recheck the area the following morning. He expected the bike's owner to have returned to remove his gear, but the frame and trailer were still there on the morning of April 7th. A park ranger then searched Jacob's abandoned gear and found a list of phone numbers which identified the gear's owner as Jacob. He then contacted one of the people on the list, who turned out to be Jacob's sister, Mallory. Then once Jacob's parents were informed of his abandoned gear, the grave nature of the situation became clear. At that point, Jacob Gray officially became a missing person. The next day, the Clallam, too mesmerized by the crazy chat. Is the chat really that crazy? Everybody, like, someone just was screaming in chat, pissed because everyone be a little bit thirsty here and there. Everybody be a little bit like sinners. Bunch of sinners in the chat. Stinky little sinners. It is of the Mixtec and Nahuatl languages. Interesting. Clallam counties. The next day, the Clallam County Sheriff's Department combed over the area using around 30 different deputies and sniffer dogs to try to track down the missing cyclist. Yet even with all the manpower, they failed to locate him. A few days later, the Sheriff's Department enlisted the help of volunteer trackers from the Olympic Mountain Rescue. This team of dedicated specialists were much more adept at tracking the movements of missing people, and as they searched, they made a series of curious discoveries. They found compelling evidence that someone, most likely Jacob, had swapped a pair of hiking boots for running shoes before walking to the edge of a nearby river. There they appeared to have slipped and fallen, leaving a distinct mark on a mossy rock. Yet about 30 yards downstream, there were signs that this person had managed to pull themselves out of the river, eliminating the prospect that Jacob had drowned before being carried downriver. They doubled down on this theory by having team members search the log jams further down the river, but no trace of any body was found, and the search continued. Yet despite the ongoing efforts, on April 14th, the status of the search for Jacob Gray was changed to that of limited continuous search. This meant that rangers were no longer looking for a living person, as it was believed to be impossible for Jacob to have survived almost 2 weeks without protection from the elements. Search and rescue teams moved on to other tasks, leaving the search for Jacob to be headed up by volunteers only. This was extremely demoralizing for Jacob's family, but they refused to give up, and over the coming months they personalized... Whoops. John Carmichael with the 2 says, I'm extremely depressed. Anyway, take my money, Dad. Why are you depressed, my friend? Thank you for the 2. Feel free to talk to people in the chat about your feelings. This was extremely demoralizing for Jacob's family, but they refused to give up, and over the coming months, they personally organized at least a dozen searches of the Olympic National Park. Flyers were posted on park kiosks and gas stations in the Port Angeles area, and a team consisting of Jacob's friends and relatives handed out leaflets to people hiking through the park. This culminated in a huge 100-man search along the Salduck Driver. Salduck Driver? What the hell? Squawk? Speaking of depression, and I say this with all due respect, but the one time in my life, or the biggest time, I've talked about this before, but the times where, you know, you're maybe in a, because obviously depression is very subjective to the individual, so, you know, this isn't covering all gamuts of sort of experience and understanding, but basically the times in which I don't, you know, if I were to ever be in those kinds of moods or feelings or whatever, I found that, or rather some of the best highlights or almost like the best ways to mitigate that sense of depression, at least for myself, in the, you know, ever confusing sense of reality that we humans go through, is doing exactly this. Like the last story you talked about, jogging. When I'm jogging, all I can think about is jogging and, you know, other stuff, but, you know, that physical stimulation, you know, biking like this person, even though they appear to have gotten killed, but so that's unlucky, but, you know, I don't know. Exercise is just so important. So like if anybody is kind of going through that, I think at the first place to start, well, if you could, you know what I mean? I don't, like, once again, because I feel like anytime I ever talk about this, I get, like, attacked. People are like, well, not everybody's the same. And it's like, okay, I get it. But I think putting an effort towards your physical well-being is a great way to reconnect with your sort of primal self that takes your mind away from the modern kind of burden that a lot of us carry, you know what I mean? This culminated in a huge 100-man search along the Salduck River in July of 2017, but only a pair of Burnside brand shorts and God, my fucking voice. But only a pair of Burnside brand shorts in Jacob's size were recovered, a pair that matched an item he'd been given as a Christmas gift that previous year. This briefly renewed the family's hope of finding Jacob alive, but over the year that followed, the lack of any additional findings meant that the searches had to be scaled back, and a grim acceptance set in that they'd never see their beloved Jacob alive again. More than a year later, on Friday, August 10th of 2018, a team of biologists ventured into the Olympic National Park in order to study marmots. They found themselves atop a ridge above Hoh Lake. Is it Hoh Lake? Hoh Lake. What up? Welcome to Ho Lake, home of the hose. It's a type of fish. Ho. Is it Finnish? Hey. Ho. How far can you run in only an hour? Honestly, I'm not a very good runner. I used to run a shit ton like 10 years ago. I used to go trail running all the time, and I was pretty decent at it. I love trail running. It's pretty sweet, but as of right now, I'm not very good at running. They found themselves atop a ridge above Ho Lake, and it was there that they made a horrifying discovery. Along with his clothing, some of his gear, and his wallet, the team of scientists found what remained of Jacob Gray's lifeless body. This spot was more than 15 miles from where Jacob abandoned his bicycle, so what exactly prompted the young man to abandon his things before climbing up so far into the mountains? Despite the discovery of a bow and arrows, you have bad knees, so if I'm running, you need to run because it means something's chasing me. Oh yeah, I mean biking is good for the knees, which is not. I mean, there's various like low impact exercises that are good as like alternatives for jogging and stuff. Used to do long distance, then I quit. Yeah, I remember I would do trail running all the time, and then I got into CrossFit. And there's a lot of cardio involved in that, but the running aspect of it is just like super, super, like my worst thing. You run to the fridge, hell yeah. I wish I had more shit in my fridge. Jacob with a 5 says, I'm sorry, Joel, for arguing with Stephanie. I'm just in a bad mood. No worries, my friend. I'm sure you guys will figure it out.
Hey, listen.
Thank you for the 5. Did you ever listen to the Bardcore cover of Pumped Up Kicks? No, I have not. What the fuck? Despite the discovery of a bow and arrows near his abandoned bicycle, and after identifying Jacob via his dental records, a coroner argued that there was very little evidence of foul play. He had a cigarette lighter, insulated clothing, and plenty of food with him at the scene where the body was found. Yet it was soon determined that the only rational explanation was that Jacob had somehow succumbed to hypothermia, as during the April he went missing, the terrain had been covered in a thick blanket of snow. However, this completely ignores the fact that Jacob's remains were little more than skeletal by the time they were found. There could have been any number of fatal wounds to Jacob's biodegradable tissues that would have been impossible to identify. It's also worth noting that when lost in the wilderness, most people know well enough to head down hillsides instead of climbing them. The last thing you want to do is end up stranded on a mountain when you could hike down to more temperate climes. John with the 6. $5 is lame. Going for the 6. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. You, Mr. Nightmare, are the only ones who can truly put me to sleep with y'all voices. I appreciate that. We do our best. Have you ever had a lot of bottled up stress and emotions that made you feel like crying? I've been feeling like that lately. Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, that's why, exercise is really good for that outlet. Whether you could do, boxing classes and kick a bag. Weightlifting is really good for getting out that, frustration, as going on runs. But, those emotions do catch up to you one way or another, and sometimes it's good just to let it out. Or talk to somebody, definitely try to find people to talk to. Or perhaps a therapist. If there's, you're only 45, and I've been in the nursing home system for 12 years, and I feel like I'm wasting away every day. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jody. Perhaps there's, I don't know. Maybe someone has a suggestion. Sometimes getting involved in churches and stuff like that, like those kind of community-oriented communities, they might have like more of like a community-driven sort of assistance, I guess you could say. The last thing you want to do is end up stranded on a mountain when you could hike down to more temperate climates. But a person being pursued by someone or something might well climb up a mountainside in order to escape something chasing them, especially if that thing had previously fired at them with a bow and arrow. There's something else worth noting too, and that involves the items found in the vicinity of Jacob's skeletal remains. He was carrying a Bible with him. It seems when he abandoned his bicycle, he grabbed only what was completely essential for his survival: the lighter, the food, and the warm clothing. What would possess him to bring the Bible along? It's possible that he wished to use the pages as kindling, yet despite how badly degraded they were by the elements, the Bible's pages showed no signs of being ripped or torn. Just what was it about a Bible that Jacob saw as being essential to his survival? What was chasing him that he believed a holy text might be a salvation? There have been many that have argued that Jacob's intention was to take his own life, and that carrying the Bible with him was an attempt to counterbalance him taking John with the 2 says, I enjoy working out. Running gives me diarrhea, though. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, it is kind of funny. Like, after you've gone on like a long run, it really does activate your bowels, but not usually diarrhea necessarily. I mean, it can, just to like clear things out, but I do remember things were pretty regular whenever you would go running. Jacqueline with a 5 says, what are your go-to toppings on pizza? Oh yeah, definitely the meat lovers situation. Pepperoni, sausage, maybe a little green peppers in there, mushrooms, fucking ham and pineapple. I don't know, just give me it all. I don't even care. Pizza is pizza in my book. Thank you for the 5. Recently learned about Gnostic churches and said, wow, lovely, but a slippery slope. No offense. No, I don't think you can really offend anybody here, to be honest with you. But as far as the Gnostic stuff goes, I'm not super familiar. I know it's like, isn't the Gnostic stuff kind of like more like they focus more on like ritualistic magic or something like that nature? Not saying that like is what happens. And I'm ignorant to it, so please fill me in. Yeah, supreme pizza. Hell yeah, that sounds amazing. Pizza toppings for you is bacon and sauce. Oh, I never really get bacon on my pizza. I think I should. You know what? I think I should. Patrick Vale, good to see you. No, I don't know why I was going to say no worries. I'm not sure what about, but no worries, baby. Let's go. I like the meats, pineapple, and jalapenos. All the same pizza. The hot and sweet is awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Where, like, I think maybe that is the Hawaiian pizza. There's one where they put, like, barbecue sauce on it or some shit. Instead of, like, pizza sauce. And that one's really fucking good. I sound like more like Mac DeMarco. Who's Mac DeMarco? I'm gonna look him up. If I sound like somebody, that means it's a good thing. It means I'm in the right business, I assume. Or maybe I just sound like somebody. Mac DeMarco, Chamber of Reflection, my kind of... Oh, he's like an artist, okay. Or a musical artist. Living day to day. He kind of sounds like the guy from, or at least that initial vibe I got from the song called For the First Time. Like the initial start there, and obviously it might just be specific to that song, but it reminded me a little bit of the Gorillaz, like the lead singer, or the singer from the Gorillaz. Is Joel your maker as well? I am not, believe it or not. We do have similar bassy boominess and cadence to our voice, but we are just simply doppelgangers within this narrator realm. Chicken bacon ranch pizza is so lovely. God damn. That sounds good. Well, a medical books list. What are you listing? Huh. I sound like vocal twins. Is that also a... Oh, us and your maker. Yeah, we do have a bit of thing, but honestly, I don't hear it, but that's just me. Maybe it's because I hear like more of the nuance to it because I hear it all the time. I hear my own voice. Let's Read has a TikTok. I do, yeah, but I don't know. I've been meaning, Fry's been helping me with videos and stuff, and I've been meaning to get him these like funny 2-sentence horror stories and stuff because they're pretty hilarious. But then I saw somebody else did it with like really cool animation. I guess it doesn't really matter. But I do see someone also sent me like those Reddit stories where it's like they read the text and stuff like, hey Reddit, what is this and that? And honestly, that's probably the direction I have to like go. Fry, I'm also curious, to what extent is your video editing skills in regards to TikTok? Jacob Bowling with the 5 says, Joel, you're awesome. Was just having a bad night and I took it out on Stephanie. Well, it's not a good thing to do to poor Stephanie. We can't bring any stress upon her. Let all your here, just take a deep breath and just breathe it all out, man. Whew. The ghost woman of the chat. Who's the ghost woman? Alright. Got Xbox taken away? What are you talking about? I don't think so. I don't even have an Xbox. Can't take it away if I don't own one. Oh wait, there was a... Oh, John Carmichael with the 99 cents. No, thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, if you had a message, please do just at me. I would hate to miss, The robotic voice narrating Reddit comments gets in my head and I can't stop hearing it. Oh yeah. What is some of the weirdest things that you have seen when on the job as a paramedic? I remember when I was in my first year out of training and my partner said, we've got a POAA over at Wilkes-Spire Cemetery Home. We bolted there, getting a flat tire before. I don't know, just stupid shit. I should just read those though. Just copy the exact formula. There have been many that argued that Jacob's intention was to take his own life and that carrying the Bible with him was an attempt to counterbalance the mortal sin that he perceived himself to be doing. But this raises the question, if Jacob intended on taking his own life, why bother bringing so much survival gear on a trip that would ultimately end in his death? It's entirely likely that Jacob wanted one last biking trip before going through with the act. But that theory completely ignores the fact that a bow and arrow were found at the site of his abandoned vehicle. It's not out of the question that Jacob brought these items along with him and intended to use them as some part of survivalist-style exercise. Yet if that was the case, Why were arrows shot into the ground at an angle which would suggest that they were being fired at Jacob? And if he was being attacked, he could have at least tried using the bow to defend himself. Only he didn't, which leads us to believe that an attacker was wielding the bow. But what kind of psychopath stalks from the forests of Washington hunting for human game? Who could have terrified Jacob so much that he'd have preferred to risk the freezing mountainside than risk walking back down into the woods? Did Jacob really get lost in the woods, as some people contend? Content? As some people contend? I assume they mean contend. Did Jacob really get lost in the woods, as some people contend, or rather, was he stalked, attacked, and then chased up the mountain by someone who still walks among us today? Are you guys talking about spirits? I saw a vertical white mist in the street. It was 4 a.m. It disappeared into nothing. Yeah, I mean, it could have been... Was it like otherwise not moist outside, like the fog or whatever, and then the reflection of the fog like diffracting through the light diffracting through the fog, you know what I mean? Oh, the worst part is the TTS Reddit videos make money. Yeah, I know, it's frustrating. Hence why I gotta go in there and completely revamp the game by using a real human voice. Bedrock or Java MC, I'm thinking of getting it. Be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with like JavaScript or anything of that nature. Like, is that what you mean, like code? Oh, Minecraft is MC. Oh, Java Minecraft. Yeah, I don't play Minecraft, or I never did. Like, I played it a few times, but I think it was after my time. You know what I mean? Like, I've told story about playing it with my nephew, and then he flooded my town, and then I was just like, I'm like, fuck this game. No fog, and it was the middle of the street, so no manholes nearby. Interesting, yeah. Have you had any other paranormal experiences or anything like that? Jacob with the 5 says, I think the sex bots are getting to me. I can't let them have me. I will stay loyal to you and the Buttersuck Council no matter what they do. Don't give in, Jacob. Don't give in. If they get to you, if some random robots in a live stream chat get to you, imagine when a real temptation comes. Imagine what that would do to beautiful Stephanie. It would break her heart. That's what it would do. Does salt gargling really help our throats? I know it, like, it definitely dries out the mucus. It, like, if there's mucus, like if you're sick, the salt is actually kind of like antibacterial to, you know, the bacteria that might be collecting in the mucus that gathers in your throat. So it kind of helps clear that out. You must remain strong. Okay, where was I? Jacob Gray. Oh, sheesh, sheesh. I heard that part. It's clear that they're so interesting. It's something we can do to keep ourselves healthy. What are you talking about? I used to hear breaking glass in my childhood home. Also a creepy brown thing in my house. It was Mr. Hankey. But yeah, I remember always, like, that was the interesting part about reading paranormal stories is like the consistencies. Lemon and honey water. Yeah, no, for sure. I wish they would just make like lemon and honey water like as a warm tea variant or something like that. Yoshimi battles the sex robots. I hope she wins. Oh yeah, with the ghost stories, like that there was like a consistent thing that I heard throughout reading those, and various different things that would occur that were consistent, that almost made me wonder if those stories had a lot more validity to them than people often gave them credit for. But one of the ones that I would hear often was like they would hear crashing of like all their pots and pans and glassware in their kitchen and shit, just like, or all the doors like slamming and slamming over and over again, all that kind of stuff. And you would imagine you would go into a kitchen just filled with like broken glass and a complete mess, like a tornado went through, and then they would go in and like nothing would be touched and be totally fine, you know what I mean? And then like or they would not hear anything and all of a sudden go out in the morning and then all of the cabinets would just be open and like really creepy, like you would just walk in and you're like, what the fuck, how did this happen? Yeah, like a poltergeist kind of situation. Poltergeistical. The Hat Man. Yeah, I do miss those paranormal stories. The Hat Man. I do. You know, those Sasquatch stories were so interesting too, because like they had a lot of consistencies with them. Like the fact that Sasquatch is like really stinky, and it smells like a skunk times 10 from a distance. You know, like from a really far distance, you could just smell it. And then like and then sometimes if Sasquatch liked you, they were like really curious, so they would leave little like, I don't even know, like little figurines that they would make of your family, like out of sticks and stuff, like bending them to look like little people, almost as gifts at like your door. And that shit was really weird to me. The skunk ape, true. You heard really old Western type music in my attic when I was silent in my childhood home, and the guy we called the man in the hat in the hallway. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's always weird to me. Like, why do people see the same man in the hat type character? Wouldn't it be like various different entities and things like that? You know what I mean? Unless there's just something about his or its appearance that just makes it look like they have a hat or something. Or it's maybe just literally the same guy, just terrorizing everybody. Like Santa Claus. He's the Santa Claus of ghosts. You find Hat Man to be cute? Are you crazy? Oh no, the Sasquatches. Yeah, I honestly don't think Sasquatches, Saskatchewans, what do you call them? Sassies? Or just Squatch? If they do exist, from what it sounds like, they don't sound very dangerous, to be honest with you. It sounds as if though they actually like admire people, but they just try to like stay as privately away from them as possible. And you know, they're almost like more scared of us. I mean, obviously, if they were like hunted to extinction long ago, because like, you know, Native American tribes talk about them and things like that. I don't know if they ever talked about like hunting them or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like, you see something like that, you're like, holy shit, a giant fucking bipedal, you know, 10-foot ape. We have to kill it right now. There are certain varieties in certain locations that are notably aggressive. Yeah, I guess that would make sense too, because if it's like some type of primate, like they wouldn't all just be like a cool little orangutan who's like chill. They would be all sorts of territorial and things like that. I remember hearing like the Yeti was a very territorial one, but I don't know if that's in like the Himalayas or what. What are all of the Bigfoot bones? Or where are all the Bigfoot bones? I guess just like up your butt, maybe. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the Cupcake Man, the Unwise? Oh my god, no, I haven't. Oh, Jesus Christ. Am I a gamer? There are so many Siren Head inspired indie games. Yeah, there are quite a few. Siren Head, Siren Head, Siren Head. Is the live ending? No, sorry, I'm just distracted. This is another true crime story. Julianne Kopka. I gotta see how to say her name. Kupka. Okay. Hold on. Is it Kupka? Kopker. Kopker. Does that sound familiar? Did you know that on the iPhone and iPad there's a feature called Background Sounds? Under the audio-visual section of the accessibility settings, it's ambient noise to boost concentration. Interesting. There's a recording made in North Carolina that scientists still cannot explain that noise is made by a living thing, and the guys who recorded it said it was a huge hairy thing throwing rocks at them. Well, that's a thing too with Sasquatchians, is that they oftentimes, like when you're in their territory, they'll throw big rocks, like not directly at you, maybe sometimes at you, but they'll throw them at like trees around you to like make you afraid and go away and stuff. So like, I don't know if anybody knows any other like consistencies with Sasquatch, but it's like they're very stinky, they're very nervous, I guess, or like very elusive, but they're also very curious. They express themselves through art in weird ways, and then they also throw rocks. So, pretty cool. Pretty much just me out there, covered in fur. If you were forced to start a conspiracy theory, what would it be and why? Just picking your brain. Like if I had to like come up with one. Wait, would I be the one enacting the conspiracy against, the greater population, or would I just like think of like a hypothetical one from like the number 2 pencil is specifically named number 2 pencil, just to make it so that you always think of poop every time you're in school. The docu clearly had a big guy in a hairy suit. Oh yeah, that one apparently is very, especially like when you compare his walking pattern, his gait, is very similar to whenever they caught him walking, like, just in his day-to-day life or whatever. There's a thing in our area which looks like a hairy person without a head and black mist around the neck where the head should be. Interesting. I remember a really creepy thing my buddy told me. He said growing up as a little kid, he used to live in like a sort of a farmhouse area, and he was walking like through the field just on a typical walk, and he like looked over in the distance, and this is what's creepy to me, because I think like ominous things in the distance sometimes are like way more scarier than like a jump scare. And he said he just saw like some like basically a man wearing like brown clothes, but he couldn't see like the bottom of his like legs or something, and he looked more like a brown mist in the distance, just like standing there a distance away. And whenever he was walking back, his mom, and maybe this was on a separate occasion, but his mom said when she came up, or when he went up to the thing, his mom was like, "Who was that man you were walking with, David?" And he was like, "What do you mean? I wasn't walking with anybody." And that, like, he said, like, being young, like, he saw her eyes just, like, freak out, like, "You're not lying to me, are you?" And creepy shit. And then I guess at one point he was like in France or something at some point, and he was going down some like old Victorian spiral steps, and just at the bottom of the spiral steps he just saw like what appeared to be just like fabric cloth just like floating like as this sort of bluish white mist apparition like in front of him. And you know, there was just like nothing else could be seen, because he said when he was walking there was like, it was so dark that he couldn't even see like in front of him. And yeah, I mean, then it just like disappeared or something like that, or went away. But I don't know, he seems to have had much more paranormal experiences than I have had. But yeah, leaving stuff to the imagination is key to good horror. It really is. Like, just allow, like, I mean, that's what H.P. Lovecraft did so well in a lot of his stories, was just like leaving so much to the imagination of the reader, you know. Just all the fear that exists within our own mind that we can create. And it's kind of fun because it's a little bit like interactive, you know, because it almost like allows the reader to create the background and the world. Do you think the blasphemous means it's concentrating energy to make matter? Oh, that's a good point. Like whatever entity is like manifesting physical matter in that sort of like space-time area, or you know. But okay, how do I say this name? I gotta look up her name. Sorry, I just gotta listen to a YouTube video real quick. Kopka. Okay, Juliana Kopka. Cool. We are good to go. Born on October 10th of 1954, Juliana Kopka was born in the Peruvian capital of Lima to German biologist Hans Wilhelm Kopka and his wife, ornithologist Maria Kopka, who were in the employ of Lima's Natural History Museum. Right, I'm going to read that over again because it didn't flow very well. The ornithologist. Is it ornithologist? That's the study of birds, right? Ornithology. Ornithology. Born on October 10th of 1954, Juliana Kopka was born in the Peruvian capital of Lima to German biologist Hans Wilhelm Kopka and his wife, ornithologist Maria Kopka, who were in the employ of Lima's Natural History Museum. When Juliana was just 14 years old, her parents departed Lima to establish an Amazon jungle research station known as Panguana. Panguana. Yeah, Panguana. We'll just go with Panguana. Cocaína. When Juliana was just 14 years old, her parents departed Lima to establish an Amazon jungle research station known as Panguana. According to Juliana herself, she became a jungle child, learning more about survival techniques than... Sorry, I got a burp. According to Juliana herself, she became a jungle child. Fuck, that should have been said, like, more. According to Juliana herself, she became a jungle child, learning more about survival techniques than mathematical equations. Her schoolhouse was Panguana, and her playground was the jungle itself. Yet despite such an unorthodox education, the Kopkas took their daughter's education very seriously and ensured that she both studied the correct materials and took the proper examinations. So when she was 17, Juliana was scheduled to fly back to Lima in December of 1971 in order to take her school's leavers exam at Lima's German school. She passed with flying colors, and became an official graduate of the school on December 23rd of 1971. The following day, Juliana and her mother flew back to Panguana via a Peruvian airline known as Lanza. Due to the holiday season, every other flight was booked, and despite Hans's objections to them using an airline with a poor reputation, Juliana and her mother had very little choice if they wished to be back in Panguana for Christmas. Yet they had no way of knowing what a monumentous. Yet they had no way of. Hey, Dave P with the 10 says, have a drink on me, brother. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. What shall I get to drink? Perhaps some Sprite?
Hey, listen.
Perhaps some Sprite raspberry? Yet they had no way of knowing what a monumentous decision what the hell? Yet they had no idea. Fucking penis. Markiplier's in the hospital? Uh-oh. Is it because of, like, bowel? I know he has, like, scar tissue in his, like, stomach from previous bowel surgery. Does he have... Is it, like, another bowel blockage situation? Poor guy. Yet they had no way of knowing what a monumentous decision it was, and how it would lead to catastrophic consequences for young Juliana. In the middle of the flight, Juliana's plane was struck by lightning, and unlike modern aircrafts, the Lanza airplane was both poorly designed and poorly maintained. The lightning strike caused cataclysmic damage to the plane's hull, and as it began to disintegrate in midair, the plane took a nosedive and plummeted to the ground. The craft separated into pieces during the descent, and Juliana's seat was torn from its moorings. Within seconds, she found herself falling 2 miles down into the rainforest below. It seems impossible that anyone could survive such a fall, but incredibly, Juliana somehow endured. Many have credited the fact that she remained strapped to her seat as it absorbed much of the impact, but even so, Juliana suffered a broken collarbone and sustained a severe gash to one of her arms. She was the flight's only surviving passenger, as every single other person aboard perished in the trash. They all fell in the trash. In the crash, sorry. He had a penis blockage. Uh-oh. From a previous enlargement surgery. Arby's sauce or McDonald's BBQ? The only thing, I've talked about Arby's before, it's just kind of dry, you know, and it's almost like you have to add the sauce onto it to make it palpable to the taste buds. Yes. But I guess that's just kind of the nature of roast beast. Or if I suppose that's what it is. I used to go there with my dad when I was younger. We'd go to Arby's, and it was like a special event. We would get so many fucking sandwiches. 500 people watching. Like this shiz, baby. Click the likey like button. Yeah, this is a crazy story. Fucking surviving falling out of a plane 2 miles in the air. Arby's horsey sauce is da bomb. Oh yeah. And their curly fries. Their squirrely fries. She was the flight's only surviving passenger, as every single other person aboard perished in the crash. Yet, even though she just survived a 10,000-foot fall, her hellish feat of endurance had only just begun. For the next 9 days, Juliana was forced to limp through the humid, insect-infested forest, surviving on nothing but rainwater and half-rotten fruit that had fallen from the surrounding trees. She was practically eaten alive by blood soaking. After just... what is it? Oh, sorry. She was practically eaten alive by blood-sucking insects, and as maggots began to infest her wounded arm, the pain was almost unendurable. Anyone else might have died within just a few days, but Thanks to her experiences growing up in a jungle environment, Juliana was able to utilize the skills she'd learned as a child in order to sustain herself, as well as avoiding the many death traps that such terrain presented. Oh shit. There's a cop car coming. They're coming to get me.
Hey,
But I can hear them going by, so it might be kind of loud. Oh wait. It's gone. Alright. Oh wait, there it is. Huh. It went by with its lights on, but not the siren. Cam, Ma with the two says, same, me, my dad, and I get the dollar menu Arby's. Hell yeah. I didn't even know Arby's had a dollar menu. Now I fucking want it. Your dad and you? Wait, you, your dad, and you? Yeah, all three of us. Every mistake, I must slap my cheeks. Pradeep does it for me. Never seen an Arby's that served breakfast. Yeah, what time do they open? Like, lunchtime or some shit? Have you ever thought about doing stories about weird disappearances, or have you already done so? So I'm new. No, it's so good. I think I've done weird disappearances. I've done, missing person stories, and I've also done missing 411 stories, which is like people that go missing within certain national parks and stuff like that. Okay. Anyone else might have died within just a few days, but thanks to her experiences growing up in a jungle environment, Juliana was able to Juliana was able to utilize the skills she'd learned as a child in order to sustain herself, as well as avoiding the many death traps that such terrain presented. After just over a week of dehydration, starvation, and barely any sleep, Juliana finally stumbled across an empty encampment. She rummaged through the camp supplies, giving herself basic first aid, but there was still the matter of ridding her wound of the maggots that had infested it. She found some antiseptic wipes that were soaked in pure alcohol, but they weren't enough to reach the deeper portions of her wound. However, Juliana did find a can full of gasoline, and despite the immense pain it caused, she poured the flammable substance into her open wound in order to rid it of the flesh-eating maggots. The agony just about pushed her over the edge, and as she found a cot to lay down in for her first real God damn it. The agony just about pushed her over the edge, and as she found a cot to lay down in for her first real rest in just over a week, her life teetered in the balance. Miraculously, with timing that was nothing short of divine providence, the missionary party who had constructed the camp returned within just a few hours of Juliana's arrival, and upon finding her, immediately called in a helicopter airlift so that she could be taken to a hospital. It took weeks for Juliana to recover from her injuries, but once she'd fully recovered, she assisted search parties from the Peruvian government in locating the Lanza Plains crash site. She helped recover almost all the bodies of those lost in the plane crash, but there was only one she truly wanted to find, that of her mother, Maria. Juliana finally found her mother's corpse on January 12th of 1972, and with her father's help, repatriated it back to Germany for a proper burial. It was an incredibly emotional affair for both father and daughter, and naturally, it left an indelible impression on young Juliana. Over the years that followed, she opted to follow in her mother's footsteps. She studied biology at the University of Kiel and went on to receive a doctorate from the University of Munich. Following that, Juliana returned to Peru to conduct research in mammalogy, specializing in bats. Then, following the death of her father in the year 2000, Juliana took over as the director of the Panguana. Mega with the 5 says, whoopsie daisy, you said antiseptic whites. Sweet draw, did I? Where's that at? Oh, that's so far back. Are you sure? Maybe that's what it was. It was, I don't know. My bad. I'm just gonna keep reading. But thank you for letting me know. I wonder if Joel has ever come up in random couples counseling, married couples talking about things that they like about each other, like Joel reading them stories. Well, we really like this guy. Or like, I've ruined like multiple marriages. All you ever do is listen to fucking Let's Read day in and day out. Then, following the death of her father in the year 2000, Juliana took over as the director of the Panguana Research Station, carrying on her parents' legacy and overcoming the trauma she suffered as a result of her nightmarish experiences. Juliana's story was documented by world-renowned filmmaker Werner Herzog in a picture he titled Wings of Hope. Herzog was interested in telling Juliana's story not just because of how enthralling it is, but also because of how deeply personal of a connection he had to the tale. You see, Herzog himself was actually scheduled to fly on the very same flight that crashed in the Amazon back in 1971, and it was only a last-minute change of plans that saved his life. Herzog was haunted by that fact, and if he had indeed taken that flight, it would have been his body that Juliana helped recover following her convalescence. Such a detail amounts to another chilling twist to an already horrifying tale of loss and survival, and reminds us that our own end reminds us that our own ends might be just a twist of fate. What is this fucking sentence? Such a detail amounts to another chilling twist to an already horrifying tale of loss and survival, and reminds us that our own ends might be. Hey, D-Shore with the 2183 high. Hello there. Thank you. Jacob, you're a deputy? Like a sheriff's deputy? But thank you, D-Shore. Thank you so much. Such a detail amounts to another chilling twist to an already horrifying tale of loss and survival, and reminds us that our own end might just be a twist of fate away. Mega with a 5 says, this one's just because I love you, Joel. I love you, mods. Love you, chat. Thank you, Mega. Thank you. You're actually the deputy sheriff? Like for the chat or for IRL? You got diabetes because I'm so sweet. Oh, you better take your insulin before your leg falls off. Sonia with a 10. I work nights and stay on a night shift schedule. Your lives are literally at the perfect time for me. Really appreciate you. Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, my life is kind of a night shift life too. I was nights for years and quite a few years. Probably it's 5 years of nights. And it messed me up, you know what I mean? I almost feel like I need to go, I don't know. I just need to get a hold of my life when it comes to my sleep. But it's so tough because I get done with this and then pretty much I just chill and edit until I can upload the video, and then I pass out, and it's tough. If she was on the Travel Channel, I bet she had some cool videos up. I'll be sure to check her out. Who are you talking about? Thank you again, Sonia. Yeah, night shift is hard. I mean, it's chill. At least where I worked, it was a lot more chill. I mean, it depended, you know, because sometimes people would be nuts, but... Okay, so... Kapka. And now... this one. Do. Okay, this one is Cloakanog Fort. Oh! Ooh! E! Ah! Ooh! E! Wah 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 wah! Ooh! E! Ah! Ooh! E! Ah! Oh my goodness, Maribel Silva with a $35 Reno says, this one is because I'm not sure if I missed twerks or Daddy's Home push-ups. You did miss the push-ups, and I did twerk once, I believe, at the beginning of the stream. Somebody threw a big old dono at me, but thank you so much for getting me to twerk again. Maribel, I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. Keep me warmed up. Don't get me worked up now, y'all. Don't get me worked up. Don't get me worked up now, y'all. You shot the sheriff, but I didn't shoot Jacob, Deputy. Deputy Jacob. I have no legs. How you like them apples? Applesauce, buddy. Hell yeah. The devil pulls the strings which make us dance. We find delight in the most loathsome things. Loathsome things. Some furtherance of hell each new day brings, and yet we feel no horror in that rank advance. Twerk it! Yeah, right. Is that Edgar Allan Poe, or who the hell? Who's that depressed son of a bitch writing that shit? According to the sound of that slap, I can safely assume you are super thick. No, those... It was my chunklas. Read. You read, money. It's your turn. I'm sick of reading. I've had enough of that shit. Yo, you're the goat. Thank you, Mo. This is clipping gold. Was it like really loud? Did it like... Wait, I have to check. I have to check the levels. It doesn't... It seems to go in the yellow zone, so it's not in the clipping zone, but maybe it does clip. How many more stories? We got one more story. It's not like super short, but it's pretty average. That's what she said. Do I have sisters? I never did. I had cousins that were girls, but yeah, I grew up with brothers. Getting my ass beat, as one does. Nah, they were pretty nice to me, honestly. I think because they were so much older. I never learned to read. I'm very sensitive to women regardless of his lack of sisters. Well, I mean... What do you... I don't understand. Like sensitive? Like as in like... my communication abilities or whatever. You got 9 siblings in total? Holy shit. That is awesome. That's a busy house. Am I the youngest? I am the wee lad. Yep. Are these bong hits you're hearing? Nah, it's just gargles of wah-wah because my throat gets sore. That is what she said, trust me. Trust me. These are the words out of her mouth. It's a compliment, Joel. Like, yes, you're a kind woman. See us as humans. Oh. Well, I'm glad I do that. That's usually a prerequisite for being a decent person. So thank you, thank you. Drew, you're lucky not to have sisters. I have an older sister. Oh my gosh. Is that the one having a baby at the same time as you? You're about to rip a bong? Let's go. How old am I? I am 31. 30 Juan. On the night of November 14th, 2015, two... What? Is this Welsh? Is that Welsh? There's so many words in the first fucking sentence. Welsh. Welsh. I assume they meant Welsh? Welsh. Yeah, if you're from Wales, you're Welsh, right? Juan plus Juan equals 3. Sorry, puff puff pass. Two Welsh brothers named Andrew and Mark Middle were out camping in the Clocanog. The Clocanog. Interesting. On the night of November 14th, 2015, two Welsh brothers named Andrew and Mark Middle were out camping in the Clocanog forest in northern Wales. They were there to watch the 2015 Wales Rally, an annual off-road car racing event which both brothers were extremely enthusiastic about. So enthusiastic that they would opt to camp out in almost sub-zero temperatures in order to maintain the perfect vantage point to watch the powerful vehicles hurtle past them. Given how cold it was, the brothers would naturally need to maintain a campfire in order to keep warm, and as anyone who's had to keep a campfire going overnight, it requires a lot of firewood. The brothers had collected an ample stack of dry kindling that afternoon, but as the night set in, and a brisk November chill set in, they found their supplies of firewood dwindling. Apparently, it was Mark's turn to go out and collect some, so he grabbed his flashlight, threw on his woolly gloves and hat, then set off into the pitch-black forest to gather firewood. It's more than likely that, given the time of year, the forest floor was very cold and damp during the night, and we can quite safely assume that Mark Middle's search for sufficiently dry kindling took him much further from his campsite than he would have liked. Then, before he knew it, all of the trees started to look the same, and among the dense, verdant foliage, he realized he'd lost sight of the warm glow of his campfire. Realizing he'd gotten himself lost, Mark called out to his brother, who immediately responded. Then all Mark had to do was follow the sound of his brother's voice, and he'd soon be back at camp. Yet, choked on spit, sweet. Mrs. chokes on spit. That's a bear yawning. No sisters here as well, just two brothers. Look at my older brother in 2011, though. But, lost my brother, led my husband, and he's my rock. Oh, that's good. Yet the Clocanog forest is so dense and wild in places that a few blind footsteps might send him crashing into the dirt below. So to ensure this didn't happen, Mark shone his flashlight on the ground beneath him to make sure that he was clear of trip hazards. Back at camp, Andrew Middle was only mildly concerned about his brother calling out to him. Although it was very dark, Mark hadn't walked far, and he would most definitely be able to find his way back to camp from the sound of his voice. What followed was a variation on the famous pool game Marco Polo. Mark would call out to Andrew, and Andrew would call back, until suddenly, Mark went quiet. Then, through the pitch darkness, Andrew Middle quite clearly heard his brother, in a voice that sounded both astounded and horrified, say, "Oh my God." Andrew recognized the fear in Mark's voice immediately and asked his brother what the problem was. Mark stayed quiet for a second, staring in disbelief at the object at his feet, then called out to his brother, "I think you better come and see this." Andrew grabbed his own flashlight and rushed out to find his brother white as a sheet and staring at the ground. Andrew then looked down to see what he was looking at, then muttered his own exclamation of, "Jesus Christ." Half buried in the earth, caked in moss and filth, was a human skull. Mark and Andrew quickly made their way back to their campsite and immediately contacted police. Emergency services received the call at approximately 8:35 p.m., and by 9 that night, a local police officer had arrived at the scene to confirm the discovery. This officer was quickly followed by a forensics team. Forensics. Would you ever do your own podcast, Joel? Yeah, I mean, I have a I'm not sure. Do you mean like? Because I run a podcast currently, the Let's Read podcast, but it's pretty much just this content, placed kind of like remastered audio over there. Forensics. This officer was quickly followed by a forensics team, who This officer was quickly followed by a forensics team, who... Fuck, what am I doing? Hey, Swamp Dwellowee, Roly Joly Oly, what's poppin', my dude? I wanted to ask you about Twitch streaming, because I was curious if, like, you could do it both on YouTube and Twitch. Like, I think I might have asked you before. I forget, though. I wasn't sure if I streamed on Twitch and became a partner at some point, hypothetically, like, do they limit your ability to stream over on another platform kind of thing? You know what I mean? Oh, like a podcast where I don't read. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what I would talk about, to be honest with you. Maybe I could just BS with my friends or something like that. Yeah, just multi-stream. Interesting. Yeah, because I use Streamlabs for that, for streaming. Would you suggest just creating a Twitch account over there with your, I guess you need like a stream key or something that you connect it to? Or do you use another program? The only people who get locked into exclusive deals are like the top 1%. Okay. Makes sense. Okay, yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I might as well try and stream on Twitch as well, just because, maybe pick up some fans, pick up some subscribers from that. I could just talk about life and stuff too. I mean, that'd be, yeah. If you're not Pokimane level, you're free to do whatever. Perfect. I am going to have to get very, very hot before I go over there. This officer was quickly followed by a forensic team. Whoops. Okay, 1 second. Let me just... Sequester. Okay, yeah. I just ended from Twitch. Good stuff. Have a lot of fun on there. That's cool. Do you play video games, or do you do just kind of random stuff, or... The officer was quickly followed by a forensics team who sequestered the area off before searching for additional human remains. Hidden just beneath the earth, the team discovered a complete human skeleton that they believed had been deposited there between the years of 1995 and 2005. It was only then that the Middle brothers were informed of something truly horrifying, that the ground they'd been camping on had once been used by a notorious son of a bitch. You do whatever. Okay, it's cool. Sweet. Is it hard, like, we do scary games and watch bad horror movies? Oh, nice. Oh, like, when you watch them, is it just, like, it's off screen or something, you're reacting to it? Or are there, like, actual horror movies that you can, like, watch with your stream? This officer was quickly followed... Oh, what am I doing? Goddamn, sorry. I'm distracted. No, I'm just kidding. It was only then that the Middle brothers were informed of something truly horrifying. That the ground they'd been camping on had once been used by the notorious... Jeez, I just did it again. Notorious. There we go. It was only then that the Middle brothers were informed of something truly horrifying. That the ground they'd been camping on had been once used by notorious serial killer Peter Moore as a dumping ground for men he had murdered. They hadn't just pitched their tent on any old patch of forest. They'd made a camp on a veritable graveyard. What followed was a 5-week-long investigation that involved combing missing persons databases, pathological examinations, and intensive DNA profiling. It was determined that the man died from a singular blunt trauma. You can do anything in stream in 2020. What kind of horror movies do you watch? I feel like you'd get DMCA'd or something. Oh, a watch party feature. You can watch whatever is on Amazon. No way. That's fucking sick. Whatever's on, like, Amazon Prime Video? That's insane. That would be fun. Holy fart. Holy fart, Batman. I didn't pitch my tent on any forest. It was determined that the man died from blunt trauma to the head, and that he had been murdered in an unknown location between 2004 and 2010. The victim was said to have been a well-built man in his 60s at the time of his death, standing between 5'8" and 5'10". Some items of clothing were found near the body consisting of a dark green Pringle jumper and some dark red decomposed Marks and Spencer underwear, but it could not be confirmed that they were associated with the victim. Numerous attempts to identify the man via his DNA and teeth were unsuccessful, and in March of 2017, police confirmed that they had approached Peter Moore with questions regarding the man's identity. Moore claimed that the body did indeed belong to one of his victims, a 46-year-old mature student at... Mature student? What is that? A 46-year-old mature student? Oh, like a second degree kind of person? At What's this place called? Aberystwyth? Aberystwyth? Aberystwyth. Everybody, we must get to Aberystwyth. 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 What the fuck? Oh, it's like a rolling R. Aberystwyth. Oh shit, what up, dog? Shicky Wiki. Shickypedia. Aberystwyth. Moore claimed that the body did indeed belong to one of his victims, a 46-year-old mature student at Aberystwyth University who had disappeared in 1996. Moore refused to reveal the victim's name, but journalists identified a Roger Evans of Bradley, near Stoke-on-Trent. What the fuck are these places' names? Bradley. But journalists identified a Roger Evans of Bradley near Stoke-on-Trent as a mature student who had indeed gone missing in 1996. However, police later announced that this theory had been discounted due to conflicting dates, and to this day, the identities of both the victim and his murderer remain a complete mystery. However, the prevailing theory is that Peter Moore is indeed the man's killer, and simply fed the police a string of false information in order to throw them off the scent. Moore was famous for claiming that his murders had actually been committed by a fictitious homosexual lover he nicknamed Jason, after the killer in the Friday the 13th movie series. He might have found a great deal of satisfaction in finally having deceived those that sent him to prison on a whole life order. The identity of Moore's apparently murderous lover was never uncovered, and despite jurors having decided that his claims were complete fiction, they might have been very He might have found a great deal of satisfaction in finally having deceived those that sent him to prison on a whole life order. That sounded weird. He might have found a great deal of satisfaction in finally having deceived those that sent him to prison on a whole life sentence. The identity of Moore's apparently murderous lover was never uncovered, and despite jurors having decided that his claims were a complete fiction, they might have been very, very wrong. Moore was not only aware of someone who had gone missing in the year following his string of killings, but the victim was found mere yards away from where Moore's other victims had been found. There's a very good chance that Moore was indeed involved in the murder in some capacity, but if he didn't personally murder the victim, who did? Is it possible that Moore wasn't lying when he spoke of this Jason character? Is it possible that he had been part of some kind of kill team back in 1995 when he committed his crimes? Or did the body simply belong to Moore's uncredited fifth victim, one his record will forever remain untainted by this fifth body thanks to a well-thought-out deception? As frustrating as it may be, these are questions that might never be answered, and with Moore rapidly approaching his 76th birthday, the time to get concrete answers is quickly running out. So next time you're camping and you're out collecting firewood, be careful where you tread. Instead of finding something warm, So, next time you're camping and you're out collecting firewood, be careful where you tread. Instead of finding something to warm your bones, you might find something that will make your blood run cold. Oh my god, alright. What are you guys even talking about in chat? Y'all are crazy. Off the goop. Alright, anyways, we have reached the end of the stream, but I have to read my outro script. So please do tell me something funny to say at the end. So basically, the uncounted male may have mentored the serial killer. I mean, it sounds as if though like people think he just made them up. You guys are blocking people. Can you even block people in chat? Like as an individual chat attendee. You want to do a podcast but you have no idea what to talk about? Well, there you go. That's step one. Just write down a bunch of ideas. And it just depends on what your goal is with the podcast and all that kind of stuff. Amalia with the 25. Good night, Joel. Give Pradeep a book for me. Oh, yeah. Wonder what he would do with a book. Would he rip it up? Would he read it? I guess I could read it to him. When you high-five yourself, it's called a clap. That's funny. But thank you again, Amalia. Thank you. Keep fit and have fun. Friends, if she doesn't exist, then you're... Oh, no. Remember, friends, everything is a conspiracy theory. And remember, you can always split peas, but you can't pea soup. What? You should do a lot more. Really good. Oh, thank you. And remember, I be blocking everyone. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. And remember, only you can... I'm going to say that, actually. Oh, wait. Return your turtles to their upright position. Meat isn't as good without the sauce. These are some good ones. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit, r/Let'sReadOfficial, and maybe even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button to hear about the extra perks offered for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories in big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friends. And I forgot what I was going to say. Fuck. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, only you can prevent forest fires. Oh, actually, I don't want to do that one anymore. I changed my mind. Your life is pre-recorded. Yeah, let's do that. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, your entire life is pre-recorded. Oh, fucking hell. I'm sore, mate. I'm sore. Feel it in me bones. Fucking need a bit of a stretch. A bit of a upright squeeze, as we call it. Bit of a decompression of the Figglesworth. I don't fucking know. You get the idea. Pretzels on fucking fire. But guys, thank you so much for always giving me your secret sauce recipe every time you're here. I appreciate you. I'm very thankful for you. You are a blessing unto me. Am I streaming Sunday? Yes, I should be. Hopefully. But yes. Thank you again. I will get this edited and up on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access. And otherwise, this will be up on YouTube. Oh, it's 2:22 a.m. now. Make a wish. Joel's British as Aussie. Yeah, I need to figure it out. It's fucking trash. But, yeah, I'll be up at 7 p.m. EST. New videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at that time. And new streams every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday in the evening time. So anyways, follow me on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy, Instagram at letsread.official. Just to be kept up to date when new stuff happens. Twitter is probably the best for just getting notifications, because if you set the if you follow me and then set it to like get all notifications, you usually do. So you don't have to worry about YouTube like selectively telling you when new videos come out. You can just go watch it instantly. A suffering call. And Haters with the 2 says, I shall be the last donut of the night. Let's go. You're a jelly-filled one too, Mr. Grinch. All right. Love you guys. Appreciate you. Stay well. Give your pets nice kisses on the forehead. They appreciate it. Bye-bye.